Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the roundtable discussion on the theme of digital innovation and transformation for enterprises. And it is a pleasure to have you all for this session today. And this roundtable we call it meet and greet session. And we have successfully been able to offer the course on advanced certificate program on digital transformation and innovation for enterprises. And this session is being organized as a conclusion session as well as a curtain raiser for next batch of the program. And I believe that during the pandemic time, it was tough time. And most of the AIMA's program was in online live mode. It was all the programs we could launch, we call them new age courses. And all these courses were offered using the online platform. But this is an opportunity for us to meet and greet each other. And we feel that this is an opportunity to interact and find it out that what are the next steps or the way forward in terms of our the way we have been able to learn and gain insights out of the learnings that were provided in the course. So let me just give you the brief background for this course. So this program is of 4.5 months duration and is delivered in online live mode by leading experts from industry and senior professors from IIT Bombay. And the course director for this course is Professor MD Agrawal, who is a very senior professional in the field, who has been adjunct professor, who is rather presently also currently also adjunct professor with IIT Gandhinagar, as well as visiting professor to IIT Bombay, and who is currently been CEO of Bharat, who has formerly been a CIO of BPCL, an advisor and consultant to TCS. As a co-faculty, and I'll say that as a key anchor for this program has been Mr. Sanjay Agrawal also, who is Chief Technology Officer for Hitachi Vantara. And these two people have been really instrumental in designing. And I'll say that, see, when as a program director, when we look at the courses, so there are 3 important areas: designing, development, and delivery. So on all these 3 areas, these 2 people have been spearheaded the efforts that AIMA has made in this direction. Let me just give a brief outline of the program. So this program has been designed considering key learning areas for industry professionals in the field of digital innovation and transformation. And we have tried to provide a blend of, because in AIMA's programs that we have been offering for this industry professionals, so textual and contextual understanding is very important. So we have been able to provide a blend of conceptual as well as practical learning, focusing on as divergent themes as you may think in the area of digital innovation and transformation. So it's a very, very comprehensive module covering important areas such as digitalization and digital transformation, using disruption for leveraging digital plans and enhancing the value proposition of business, customer engagement, digital capability models, and application of digital technologies, data governance capabilities, security, modernization of data and applications, innovation strategy, key enabling technologies for digitalization and their applications, strategy for leadership and governance for sustainable digital transformation, as well as role of innovation and learning from success of startups involved in digital transformation. So in terms of the I'll say that it was a multi-modular program. We covered every aspect that was there in the area of digital innovation and transformation. In this roundtable, and we are extremely privileged to have Dr. Neetu Verma, who has been the former Director General, National Informatics Center, Government of India, Professor Arpan Kumar Kar, who is Amar S. Gupta Chair Professor in the Information Systems area at IIT Delhi, as well as Mr. Akhilesh Tuteja, who is Global Head of Cyber Security Consulting and India Head of Digital Consulting KPMG as keynote speakers. We are also extremely privileged to have Mr. Manish Grover, Executive Director, Strategic Information Systems, IOCL, and Ms. Khushbu Jain, Advocate, Supreme Court of India, and Professor MD Agrawal, as who is the course director for this course, as key panel speakers today. The roundtable is going to be moderated by Mr. Sanjay Agrawal as well as Professor MD Agrawal. And we look forward to have a very fruitful discussion today. May I now request Dr. Raj Agrawal, Director, AIMA CME, to say a few words as opening remark for this roundtable and meet and greet session that we have for today, and welcoming all our esteemed speakers and the participants. Sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ganesh Singh. So first of all, on behalf of AIMA, I am really very delighted to welcome such a distinguished gathering, Professor MD Agarwal, Madam Neetu Verma, former Director General, National Informatics Center, Mr. Akhilesh Tuteja, Strategic Head Cybersecurity in KPMG, and Sanjay Agarwal, the Chief Strategy Officer in Hitachi, and distinguished participants mainly belonging to technology area. So we are really delighted to welcome all of you on behalf of AIMA, first of all, and secondly, what is good for AIMA, because AIMA is having a vision and mission in this way that how we can develop the potentials of Indian managers, Indian leaders. So when we talk about this potential, so obviously the changes in environment, and specifically in digital environment, whatsoever is taking place, so we are more or less duty bound that how these changes can reach to the enterprises. So in this particular respect, AIMA has launched new age courses, and this particular course, which was designed by Professor MD Agarwal and delivered by senior professionals from academia as well as industry, and the kind of interaction which we have throughout this course of this four months and more than 4 months, that was really very remarkable. So by and large, this is what that our objective, that how this particular course is going to be established. And this course, I was talking to Professor Agarwal, so he said that this was designed where this theoretical input was also taken into consideration, but major emphasis was on this application part. And when we say this application part, so means that more orientation, more practical orientation towards industry. So definitely this is what this course is going to be a little bit different from the courses offered by various IIMs. So likewise, I too like to emphasize that All India Management Association, and specifically our division, the Center for Management Education, is taking up this journey in a very subtle and very effective manner by introducing several courses. We have introduced this data analytic course. We have introduced business analytics course. We are also working on AIML project of this DSIR, Government of India. Likewise, we too have this digital marketing. And what is most important part, that this digital element we have almost in all our programs. We too have organized several this webinar during this COVID time, and further this conferences, summit, etc. So AIMA is leading in this area of this digital transformation. So further, likewise, we too have a approval by this regulatory body, this AICT, All India Council for Technical Education, and this course has has given us a confidence that how we can launch this is what that this particular course for middle level managers, as well as this is what that junior level managers. So this was more focused on this leadership part. So how we can focused on middle as well as junior level managers, and how we can get this industry association, and how we can make this 1-year program very successful. Further we require your support, your association in making our digital journey very, very successful and launching courses. So then the purpose and objective and motto of AIMA, this vision and mission of AIMA, that can be served. We too have a case research center where we are developing this in association with industry, this quite large number of case studies, and these case studies are uploaded on our portal. So in that particular area also, we are focusing with the association of industry. We are in a process of developing case studies. Definitely your cooperation, your support in this particular area, that can also enhance the value effectiveness of our cases. So with these words, once again, I like to welcome all of you and hope that this we can further carry our mission and vision in a most objective manner by serving the need of the industry. So with these words, I will like to invite my colleague, Dr. Anuja Pandey. She'll tell you briefly about the Case Research Center and how your support and cooperation in developing cases, industry-based cases on digitization, etc., that can be taken. Yeah, Dr. Anuja.
Thank you, sir, and good evening, everyone. I thank Dr. Agarwal and MD Agarwal, sir, for giving me this opportunity to take you through a very small presentation. This is what we are talking about. Sir has just briefed that at AIMA, we have set up a India Case Research Center. Primarily, the objective of this Case Research Center is to develop cases which are India-centric cases. I'm sure a lot of you have seen and have gone through cases which have been developed at Harvard and McKinsey. This is an attempt where we are trying to bring in the cases from India, and we are trying to get in all the organizations who might have done a tremendous amount of work in that area, which needs to be documented as form of a case study. These case studies are primarily consumed by business schools across India and across the world. And we are also looking for using up these cases for the training purpose. So when we had set up this Case Research Center, our idea and objective was that we'll create a community of people who would get together to help us in developing and publishing these cases. So we look forward for your support into this. We have developed a unique portal in this where it is almost onto the pattern of any of the renowned case centers across the world, where we publish cases and we support all the people who want to write cases with us. But today I am here with a very specific mission, because I'm sure a lot of you in this course have identified a lot of transformation opportunities within your organization. Some of the organization may already have taken up this journey of digital transformation. So we would like to document those cases and try to bring those cases into our Case Research Center so that they can be used for the training purpose, both for the B School students and also for the larger community of the people who take up trainings from various locations. And these cases can be published as the branded case of your organization, and with the contribution of all the people within your organization who help us in contributing this case. And we have a panel of writers with us. We can bring those people to your organization to write it into a format which is in a technical writing format. So we seek your support into this. And probably anytime we also hold a lot of competitions around it. So there are some of the things are very academic and some of them are corporate oriented. One of such event is our Innovation Practitioner Summit, which is basically a case study competition of the corporates. And this is held every year in December. This year we would be inviting up the details. I'm sure in next month, we would have by August mid, we would have all these details visible on our website. And once we have all these details on place, I will share it with you. So your organization teams can also participate into this competition. And this is here, we are not looking for any big, really great writing. We are looking for the innovations which might have been there into your organization. The relevance of the innovation has to be brought in, and we'll share the details of this competition with all of you. Secondly, we are looking forward for, and as I said, we have a portal. We'll share the details of the portals once I have the connect with all of you. We'll share an introductory mail about our case research center to all of you. In case some of you is interested, they can always come together. And we organize a lot of other training programs and workshops. One of such is due in August, which we are doing with Hong Kong Business School, one of the most prominent case research center of the world. So this was one information I wanted to share with you. And another is what Dr. Raj Agarwal was talking about, that we are doing a very intensive study with Department of Science and Technology under the DSIR banner, where we are trying to do a research study on readiness and interest of the organization in adopting emerging technologies like AI and ML. And we are trying to map up where exactly are Indian organization in terms of adoption of AI ML into their systems. And this is a very extensive study that we are doing. We are reaching out to more than 200 organizations, and we are doing some in-depth interviews from the CTOs of the organization. We believe that when we complete the study, we would have a different organization at different maturity levels. So we seek your support to do some in-depth interview with the CTOs in the first phase of this research. And in the second phase, we would be reaching out to the other team members who are into the implementation side, and maybe some of them would be at the middle management and some of at the junior management level, to take their views on it. So we seek your support, and I'm sure the type of audience that we have and the support we have, we should be able to get some of the qualitative interviews done with you. So that's all from my side. Thank you all, and thank you for patient listening. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. We'll move fast from here. We have Professor Arpan, who's Chair Professor IIT Delhi, delivering power keynote, and agenda is very exciting. The topic is setting up the agenda for your digital transformation. And he's going to be online very soon. Just give me a second.
I am online only. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. And we have all the CIOs and guests here. We would just get you online.
So shall I share my screen?
That will be great, sir.
Okay. So hope my PowerPoint is visible.
We are just connecting, sir.
Yeah, it is there on laptop. Screen sharing is there on laptop. So
We'll just switch it to Zoom.
Arpan, just a minute.
Sir, we can see your slides. Over to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Over to you.
So much. Thank you so much. So first of all, thanks for the invite, and it's really a pleasure to be addressing in AIMA today. So typically, like, I have been teaching courses surrounding digital transformation, data science, AI, ML for the last 10 years or so. So I'm going to share a little bit of the kind of projects and the kind of initiatives which are currently going on surrounding when we're talking about digital transformation today. So the digital journey starts with digitization, which started in the 1990s era, moved on to digitalization when, after Y2K, we saw a lot of adoption of enterprise systems, especially, around 2002, 2003. And then came the digital transformation era when SMAC became more and more popular. And post 2010, 2012, when cloud computing became more and more popular, more and more adopted, then basically came the era for digital transformation. And we're still talking about new ways that digital transformation is getting introduced in organization. On one side, using data science, AI/ML, how data has become the new fuel for this digital transformation. And on the other side, we're talking about smart technologies. So when we try to understand and unravel this digital transformation ecosystem, on one side, we see that there are digitized producers. By producers, I mean that there are people and organizations who are creating mechanisms for the organization to be transformed digitally, which could be through automation. Like today, when you talk about marketing automation, when you talk about chatbots interacting with either your employees or with customers, you're talking about market automation. Then there are producers of Internet of Things, which is being used when you're talking of Industry 4.0. Then there are technologies like blockchain and crypto, which is also used extensively in the producers, and additive manufacturing from the producer side when you're talking about Industry 4.0 initiatives. And on the consumer side, consumers like you and me, when we're talking about generic consumers who are trying to benefit from this ecosystem, there are platforms like search engine ecosystem, which is sharing information, connecting people to information. And today, information is basically the new thing that everybody wants to seek. Then there is social media ecosystem, the mobile ecosystem, which is facilitating digital commerce, mobile payments, and then digital platforms like new business model, which has emerged, business model like Zomato, the e-marketplaces, which has been converted to mobile marketplaces, platforms like Zomato, Uber, when we talk of sharing economy-based models like Redbus and all, they are coming in a big way. So digital transformation also means that we need to understand both from the producer side along with the consumer side, different perspective and different business models. So if you look at the technology stack, the digital transformation journey across different segments are basically introduced by technologies like blockchain, artificial intelligence and machine learning, things like sensors and actuators. For example, we have things like mobile crowd sensing coming in. When we are talking about going from one place to the other, we a lot of times use Google Maps. That's basically a mobile crowd sensing technology that it senses from multiple other location-based services or location-based sensors in mobiles and gives you recommendation. A recommendation engine gives you the correct direction to travel in when we are visiting from one location to the other. So sensors and actuators coming in a big way, wherein sensors sense and actuators basically perform the action. Then there are technologies like additive manufacturing, things like augmented reality and augmented automation, things which are coming out very soon. It's going to be coming in a very huge way, metaverse, augmented reality, virtual reality. And all of these are basically the technology stack, which is connecting the consumers and the producers. So if you look at this technology stack, there are still concerns surrounding information security, information privacy, how data is going to be governed, who will have access to the data, how data will be shared across platforms, and design and governance of projects which will be using these platforms. So this leads to lots of new world challenges. I have a very short duration, so I won't take too much time. But one of the major challenges whenever we are talking about digital transformation as a journey is basically the question of alignment. On one side, you have technology, the IS strategy, the IS infrastructure and processes in which you design competency, you design governance style, you design processes which should enable the business strategy and organizational infrastructure. And this concept of technology alignment was basically posited in the mid-1990s by Henderson, especially from the IBM journal. And at that point of time, it was still at a very nascent stage. But this became foundational when we started talking about initiatives like COVID, COVID-based training for the organization or maturity models for the organizations, or when you talk of ISCAT. So similar lines, if you talk of alignment is firstly one of the bigger challenges that organizations face whenever they're going for digital transformation. And so there are risks involved in terms of moving towards digital transformation, and that risk has to be mitigated, the risk has to be measured. But if we deep dive into any such initiatives, since we have very short time, I'm going to deep dive into one initiative only, which is basically creating this whole debate surrounding future of work. And the future of work debate, which has emerged, is basically when World Economic Forum brought out this postulation that in a couple of decades, much of the workforce is going to be obsolete. A lot of work which is automatable will be automated, and many people who are doing repeatable jobs are going to find out that repeatable jobs are no longer viable because some machine, some process automation is going to take over it. So there is a need to deep dive into new initiatives. New digital transformation initiatives requires a thorough understanding of technology, especially emerging technology. So I'm going to talk very briefly, because I have very little time left, about data science as an emerging initiative which has come out. And earlier days, whenever you had organization trying to make use of data, you always had organizations who had different types of skill set, because today, in the previous talk, there was a mention that data science is going to be an initiative that AIMA is going to take. But typically, if you look at how people have been visualizing and talking about data science, is one cohort of people had experience in AI/ML algorithms. They are typically trained in IT, computer science, or sometimes electronics and communication engineering. Then the other set of people who would be handling data would be coming in from areas like economics, statistics, and applied mathematics. They would be able to handle statistical analysis on structured data. And the other side, which would typically be people who would be good with optimization, linear programming, mathematical optimization, and large-scale optimization, they would typically have background in operational research, or what today is called decision sciences. They would be having background in industrial engineering, and these people, all of them have very high competency, but they refuse to talk to each other. They would work in the silos. What has really changed is that there is a need to break the silos and get people to be trained across all these verticals. And this is basically creating challenges, because the organizations are sensing that when we try to break down walls, there are other walls which get created. And there are challenges of governance whenever we are trying to talk about data science or such initiatives. How do you handle data? What would be the ethical use of data? How do you preserve privacy of data assets, which is sometimes getting created because the users don't really know what it will be used for, and they are sometimes forced to give the data to the organization if they have to consume the services. The trade-offs of PII usage versus service quality. What is the transparency of outcome? What is the degree of explainability of outcome? Explainability has become a huge way, in different organizations, especially in Europe. For example, Europe and US, if you are visiting there, you're using any kind of automated services or AI services. For one cohort of data, it is saying that this person should be treated in a particular way. For another cohort of data, say it's an African American, it is saying that he should be treated in a slightly different way. Now, the explainability of outcome, the transparency and fairness of outcome is expected across the cohorts that it uses. But then there might be something inherently biased in the data, which leads to a biased outcome. And there are different ways of challenges and mitigation that tomorrow's future leaders need to understand if they're going to be using digital transformation to understand what is permissible ethically, what is permissible in terms of transparency and legal requirements. So outcome reliability, fairness and trust, accountability of adverse outcome. If you have a digital transformation initiative, there is a false outcome or an adverse outcome. Who takes initiative? Is it the hardware service provider? Is it the software service provider? Is the data from which this outcome is basically generated? Who takes care and accountability for the outcome? What happens to the human in the loop problem whenever we are talking of digital initiatives where some person, some key person are result and their biases are basically embedded in the system? So all these are somewhat deliberations which require a much more deeper dive today. And today, digital transformation is something that is increasingly becoming important. And even in IIT Delhi, we have launched, extensive courses, 1-year courses on digital transformation, 6 months physical courses on digital transformation. And we are sensing that there is a huge amount of traction from people who are trying to learn them. So feel free to connect with me. I'm available across platforms, and thank you for the invitation. I'll stop here.
Thank you very much, Professor Arpan. I think it was I will say today is a good start of your thought process. And with a short notice, you agree to deliver your talk. No, thank you very much. And what idea you have shared is, I think, worth noting to all CIOs who are present in this forum today. Thank you very much, sir. And I will now like to invite, Mr. Sanjay Agrawal. Sanjay, you like to say something?
Thank you, Professor. It was very insightful session, starting with technology and all the parts, including governance. I know you have to rush, but before I start, I thought I'll check up with you. If you have a couple of minutes, we can have 1 or 2 questions from the audience. I think it's disconnected, looks like. Okay, thank you, Professor. So good evening, and in fact, we wanted to do that session. Sir, you are there?
I'm there.
Okay.
Any questions I can talk?
Yeah, any question for Professor? Yeah.
Sorry.
Please.
Quick question, Professor. So, okay. See, we're all academics is good, but white papers and all is passe for now. I think we need to use the IBM white papers and all that, make it business cases, make it more data monetization, because eventually it's business. And white papers are good. For example, Oracle stole the IBM white paper and built the Oracle business, the Oracle product. So we need to build a business case. See, white papers we have enough. So what's your sense on that?
Yeah, so first of all, the article that I was referring to was not a white paper.
Right.
So that basically triggered this entire area that digital transformation needs strategic alignment. So the entire concept of thought leadership came that strategic alignment for organizations requires a wedding between technology and business. Most of the times, most digital initiatives fail because on one side, maybe the CIO's team is trying to sell something and the business side is not really willing to take ownership of it. So this basically leads to a lot of governance related challenges surrounding who owns the technology solution, who would be handling the solution, who would be users group, and who would be basically funding and taking ownership of the outcomes of the funding. So this entire area of COVID, then governance of technology basically got triggered from this area, which is increasingly becoming important. You're absolutely right. There has to be a business case for everything. And this is basically driven by the business case that business case need financial ROI. And that financial ROI to be realized requires ownership of technology and a wedding between the technology and the business side of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know, Dr. Arpan, you have to leave, but if there's one last question we can take up right now.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Arpan. It was a very informative session. Sorry for being late. We could start a little late because of the traffic jam and people couldn't reach on time. Thank you once again for your time.
Thank you.
And
So
very
much.
insightful session. So good evening. That was first keynote, and we would have 2 more keynotes followed by a lot of other sessions. First of all, I would like to welcome all the participants and guest CIOs. Particularly for the participants, we all were interacting virtually for 4.5 months over the weekends. We were trying to do something face to face. It was not working out, unfortunately, because of the COVID time and distance. Luckily, it happened this time, and we are able to see. We did one in Mumbai. This is a second, and next one will happen in Bangalore in the first week of August. So thank you for coming here and making this very exciting. Another thing I want to share before we move to the second keynote session is, if you look at this program is not talking about what is the best technology, best solution, or best strategy. Many programs do that, and I have seen, they say, come and we will teach you what is best technology. Trust me, if somebody comes and says that there is one particular technology or one particular strategy that is best, and that is the only thing that will work in your organization, please take that and implement it. Trust me, it's not going to work. Certain technologies, certain strategies work in certain industries, may not work in other. What Professor Agarwal and I were discussing at the beginning of the course, we should not teach them what is right, what is good technology or bad technology. What we should teach is, or strategy for that matter, what we should cover is pros and cons of every single technology and strategy, so that when you go back and start implementing your digital initiatives, you are able to confidently qualify or disqualify. One particular thing may qualify at one place, but may get disqualified at other place. That was the objective, and that's how we covered it. So today, it's going to be, if I can use the word, super class. In every class, we used to have one guest speaker, one session, and few Q&As. Today, there are many experts, and we'll have some exciting sessions. So let's move forward and let's make it interactive. With this, I would like to invite Dr. Neetu to come for the second keynote. Dr. Neetu is known to the world. Today, the kind of digital transformation India as a country has gone through, the governance part of it, the IT backbone that has been created, we all know the organization behind that is NIC. She has been leading all the efforts, and thank you, Dr. Neetu, for taking time out to come and discuss. The topic is going to be, how do we fuel the digital transformation with the kind of initiatives that can be taken. So over to you, Dr. Neetu.
Can I start this?
Yeah.
I hope it's not do the webcast or something. You can just put it, no problem.
The screen that-
But this is connected to.
Want me to put this on? That's right.
Then we please it up.
इधर रख या कुर्सी पे रख दी
Oh my God.
no
So the creating parameters.
So it is changing. But it has changed here.
Yeah, sorry for the technical connection.
Okay, can I start now? Good evening to all of you. Undoubtedly, I want to thank Professor Agrawal and AIMA for having me here. It's indeed a pleasure talking to you, and particularly on a topic which I have been practicing for so many years is digital transformation. That's a different thing that I've been largely associated with government, and but I think the basic fundamentals remains the same. If you look at it, since the launch of Digital India program by our Honorable Prime Minister in the year 2015, we've really seen tremendous growth in proliferation of broadband networks as well as mobiles all across India. As of today, we have 830 million internet connections in India, and with fiber reaching in over 600,000 villages in next next year or so, this is going to further increase. And at the same time, we have also seen a real explosion in terms of mobile apps. We have today a large number of mobile apps developed by our startups are in our own companies in India. And practically, if you look at it, you just think of any requirement or think of doing something and you will find a mobile app to help you do that. So basically, technology is transforming services and products everywhere. It's actually helping or leading towards changing the whole digital profile of India as a whole. And then among its all adversities, COVID has further brought technology at the center of all discussions. It has been estimated that it has fast forwarded or accelerated the adoption of digital technologies by people of India in urban and rural by almost a decade. I personally have seen, we've been vouching of these teleconsultation softwares in health sector, education, remote education and all. For so many years, but the way quickly it all took up, it kind of picked up during COVID time out of the necessity, has really brought in so many people in the fold of digital. And therefore, today, every organization, be it small or big, private or government or civil society, everybody is trying to leverage this, this new ecosystem which we have, or this new profile of Indian citizens we have, and trying to offer services, trying to bring new kind of businesses all through. And in fact, if you see nowadays, I was just going through, and digital transformation has actually become a buzzword. And another thing we've also seen during COVID is that disruption of business which were not digital. Which did not have digital, their supply chain supported by digital this thing, or which did not have their basic things available. Systems in digital have really disrupted or failed in some sense. Therefore, it is all the more important for every enterprise to go digital or make their services digital and so on and so forth. And that is the reason this whole phenomena is being captured by everybody, whether it is academia, whether it is all those upskilling edtech sector or everybody else. You see so many programs and conferences happening about digital transformation, and in almost every sector it's kind of getting into, because it has started getting into basic sectors like education, health and agriculture. We're starting from there. But to my mind, now it's being actually overly used. And I've also noticed sometimes it is not even well understood also when we talk of digital transformation. We had seen a slide in the previous presentation. Digital transformation is quite ahead in maturity when you start from digitization, go to digitalization, and then you go to digital transformation. So there's a journey which you have to traverse to actually reach to that particular level. So if there are many ways digital transformation could be really defined. One way could be that digital transformation is basically leveraging technology to change and innovate business models, innovate your products and services, and create new value chains to meet changing needs of your customers. That's what at the center. So what I'm trying to basically bring about it, though the name is digital transformation, but digital transformation is first to do with the business and second to do with technology. Very often, a lot of credit or discredit to technology companies across where they are trying to drive and make it more look like as if it's all too digital. But I think that is where sometimes it gets misunderstood and interpretation or the implementations also do not succeed. It has to primarily do with your business and then the technology. So therefore, it is important when you're trying to get any kind of a digital transformation project, big or small, first of all, you have to understand how are you going to transform or change your business. Your business is not something that you're changing. It could be a fundamental change. It could be a basic thing that you want to expand your business to certain geographies, or maybe you want to focus on certain products, or you want to defocus on certain products depending on the demand. Maybe you simply want to have new channels to reach to your customers. Strategy could be different for different enterprises and different contexts in which you are coming up. That vision has to be drawn on the paper first. Then you have to see technology is definitely going to play a very, very critical role. But then, I mean, in terms of all the technologies, since we've already heard, so let me not really spend time on that, but they should not be leading the transformation journey. They should be enabling that. They should be key enablers to help us succeed our transformation journey. That has to be always kept in mind. And once you align technology to your vision, you can align for many ways. You can align for basically getting an efficiency in terms of time and cost. You can also apply a lot of innovation at this stage. You know, you can apply innovation that how will you compete with your competition in the sector, or how will you really cater to this changing demand of your customers who are also getting exposed to digital ways. You must have often heard saying things, why this cannot happen this. I mean, government never used to happen very often. If this private sector, this startup, Flipkart can do this, Amazon, why can't you offer a service like this? So these kind of things happen. So customers also sometimes drive you to really transform to a new level of this. And another thing I wanted to highlight that it is not always important that digital transformation has to be some 2 years, 3 years project. Sometimes even small innovations in your products can really make a huge impact. Let me try and give example from our day-to-day life. Many of you must be using this app called Big Basket, you know, which is our groceries and fresh fruits. And often you must have noticed that you're trying to draw your list and close the order, you realize, or someone in the family says, oh, you did miss ordering these 2 things. And the whole process of ordering another thing, you have to have 2 scheduled deliveries 2 times. You have to then pay maybe extra charge because those items are less than their minimum limit, and all those things will happen. They've just done a small thing that even after you've closed your list, for certain time, you can keep adding to that list. If you look at it technologically, it's not any big thing that way. But that small innovation, they've understood what is customers' requirement. Just aligning their product by just tweaking it has the 2 things they have got. Not only they have made their customer happy, they have also ensured they're getting more business. Sometimes you say, chalo chodo isko next shop se le lenge ghar ke paas se. But now you keep ordering there. So this is a beautiful example. Another thing, I'm sorry, but I mean, many e-commerce product, I use Vantara, so let me tell you from Vantara. I mean, in the family, you see these children all the time returning products. So when you return and they've used your credit card or your wallet, you have to simply track that whether that particular money has come to your wallet or your credit card or to your bank. Now they have brought in this Myntra credit. So they say that if you want to keep it in the credit, this money instead of taking, that instantly comes. You don't have to track. So you're happy, you're assured, your time is not getting wasted. But at the same time, since you have this credit, you'll go and order one thing more. And this goes on. So see, it's a beautiful thing, a small innovation, a small change by introducing a small facility. They have been, I mean, I don't have any numbers, what kind of this thing they have done, but it's this is how it is. Look at government. When we brought this COVID portal where this vaccination was going, first of all, you didn't need, and you must have also seen how simple it was to schedule your schedule for your vaccination. But now you go on vaccination, you do not, you basically need, when you go for any service in government, You need a kind of a certificate to show at various places, especially for traveling, and many places you need it. They made it so simple that you do not need to take any paper, no certificate. Get the vaccination, you do not even go out of the vaccination center. You get an SMS, you could download your vaccination certificate from this location. See how much if you just sit down and imagine, it has caused so much of a convenience to customer. Now I have to a citizen, I have my certificates right in my phone. I'm sharing digitally. I have to show at any place, nationally, internationally, it's ready to be shared. Look at from government side. The whole process of otherwise, if they had to give certificates there, they had to put printers in every vaccination center. It would have taken at least double the time, if not triple the time, if everybody has to get a certificate right at that place. So the amount of vaccinations which could be done. So you have made them focus what those sisters and doctors were supposed to do. And you have also made me happy by giving me digitally, because I'm not can easily share. And I also saw when I went for vaccination that if there is someone who doesn't have phone or doesn't have smartphone, there were provisions to do those things also. But by and large, these are small things. If you start thinking and from the customer's perspective, it really makes sense. So these are small innovations. If you see, they have not really costed much. It is just the thought. So that is what I'm saying. From business perspective, it is important to think, where is that I have to introduce this transformation initiative and really take things forward. Aadhaar, another thing we all have seen, not only you see how convenient, only for one or two services you have to go to UIDI center. Otherwise, most of the services you get by simply putting it online. As long as you can get your mobile number is seeded, lot of Aadhaar services, whether you could easily get it. Now using this Aadhaar, lot of other government services are becoming faceless. Like Transport Department has now defined, I do not have the track of number, but I think about 30 to 40 services concerning with your driving license or your vehicle registration, RC, hypothetication, and all those things, and now became faceless. You may remember sometimes, maybe I think 6 to 8 months ago, Delhi government has closed most of its RTOs, because now they feel there is no need for anyone to except one or two to really come to the RTO to avail services. Services are available, and other states also by seeding Aadhaar, so that you can they have been started offering these services in faceless manner. So one, the two examples I'm giving, one is just think small things and you'll be able to find. Second thing, sometimes leveraging on somebody else's digital transformation or digital stack, you can improve upon your service. So that interconnectivity between services is also another way you can really bring in a lot of innovation, and you can really leverage that strength onto whole thing. There are many such examples, but in the paucity of time, let me just move ahead. You know, in 2019, Harvard Business Review had written an article, and there they had mentioned, and one of the surveys said, this is a global survey, that 70% of digital transformation initiatives do not reach their goals. And they had done the analysis and found out what could be. One of the reasons there was, often these digital transformation projects have a lot of hype. They have been really allocated with a lot of cost and long timelines. And by the time you have reached to the conclusion of this, or you're close to this, technology has already undergone 2 generations of change. The ecosystem, when you are into digital business, the ecosystem also changes. Where somebody has brought in some disruptive application, now everybody has to align to that kind of a thing. So in this dynamic environment, therefore, it is the agility in your digital transformation journey is very, very critical. You have to start small. You have to start your transformation journey in strategic areas and then go in terms of iterations. That's another thing which I think everybody has to pay. Another thing which I have seen sometimes CEOs or head of the organizations out of their enthusiasm, and normally when it's something new, because digital transformation is considered synonym with emerging technology. So the tendency is get some consultants, with all due regards to, I have lots of friends in the consulting sector, but they'll get certain set of consultants and they will start then writing the digital transformation script for that organization. If you do not engage your employees, even if you have to digitally enable them a little more, it is worth doing. Because see, what is innovation? Innovation is trying to meet some unmet demand of the customers, or innovation is where you're trying to solve some problem of the customers. Who will know these things best? These things is best understood by the people who are in the organization, who are day-to-day basis interacting with the customers or who have spent time. So if you make a collaboration between these consulting organizations and your own people, you will be able to come with innovative ideas, which will be far more successful, which will really reach at the end of their, or make an impact, which it is scheduled to do. Another thing which is important is data. We have been all seeing that data is being generated. I don't know whether the speed of light, but almost in real time it is getting generated. It is estimated very soon we'll have 25 billion objects connected to internet, which is 4 times our population, and maybe some number around that. So with this kind of a data and with cloud computing and all this data analytics technology into it, if each corporate puts up that data analytics infrastructure and must put up, whether you are getting into any digital transformation, this is one of the core service you need to do. It can generate a lot of insight for you. It can tell you where are the areas where you need to grow, or what are the geographies you need to grow, which are the products you get into. It can also help you onto things like, right estimation of your demand, depending on your sales and of the last 3 years, 4 years, it can tell that what season demand will come from, so that you can orient your supply chains accordingly. And often we have seen, many of these digital business, when they put some sales or they put some peak season, and sometimes we still see in taxes portal on last few days, it will always kind of crash and all those things. These things could be avoided if you really have right kind of estimation. And with cloud computing, adding those extra resources it's now practically possible at a very, very low cost, which was, if you think some time ago, a few years ago, it was a mammoth cost, and people used to say ki 5 din ke liye itna sara infrastructure, it's not really justified. And it was all the more important when you were in the private sector. But now with cloud, where you pay as you use, this has really have been a big game changer. You could just have allocation of resources for few hours or few days, and so on and so forth. Preventive maintenance of data centers itself, or all those machinery equipment, everything is nowadays coming with the IoTs, coming with the embedded chip. With this, you can find out when your machine is likely to fail, so that you can schedule your preventive maintenance and there is no failure, and your production or whatever output service quality is much higher. So this is where data is going to play a role. We are talking about, frauds and cyber security. This is again where data will play. So fraud prevention or securing your data breaches can be avoided to a great extent if you could really map all these data flows in and out of your data centers on your systems. So data is definitely going to become a key driver of your innovation, and therefore it is worth investing onto it or developing skills. And it is important. Data is again best understood by your own people. So this is a capability which should be built within the organization to be able to do this thing. And I personally feel, I don't know how practical this is, that once we put in a data, role-based access to this data should be there to every employee of the organization. Because see, every employee is fulfilling some objective of your business. If you could give that requisite data to that employee on which or she could act upon and can perform better or can help company perform better, even if it's a small insignificant role, this small thing tomorrow can, by simply because you already have made a data lake or some data warehouse. It is only a strategy to provide that differential access to individuals. So that's another thing. I think data strategy or data governance framework is, because I understand data has a lot of protection issues also, but you have right kind of a data governance framework, it can really empower and enable your employees who can at individual. If I have to do sales, let's say I have to increase my sales, if I'm a sales representative or a sales manager, if I could get a nice view of how sales are happening in my jurisdiction, I will get to know where are the gaps because I'm on the ground, and I'll be able to take initiatives to take it further. So that's another thing I feel is very empowering and should be a key thing of this thing. Lastly, if you look at any business discussion, even if it's government, it is always your customer or it is your citizen. Everything is finally discussed around. That person has to be happy. That person has to be really satisfied with the service. That is where you finally reach your the end vision we are trying to reach. And another thing which is I should not say it's challenging, at the same time gives a lot of opportunity, is that it is not that customer which was there 5 years ago, where if you once gathered some kind of a customer survey and find out what are their requirements, and you could just tune your strategy towards this. Today is a digitally enabled, technologically advanced citizens or customers whose expectation also changes at a very fast pace. So if you could have a mechanism where you could gather this input, give the personalized recommendation or personalized input or personalized response to these customers, you get a loyal, captive set of customers onto. I mean, you must have yourself seen when you go to this e-commerce portal, basis our experience, we become, start patronizing one e-commerce to other e-commerce platform. And it is largely driven from these services, what has been the return service, what has been the customer grievance service and things like this, and which technology can really help you in a big way. So customer experience, customer satisfaction, and that is where all your AI technologies and machine learning can play a big role. Right from doing the simple chatbots to connecting, how will you grow your business when you really connect those people who are at bottom of the pyramid, who are challenged by languages, who are challenged by technology. But today, the language technology allows you to conversate or interact with them in the language they understand. Even if they can't read or write, still you can. So that is what we need to leverage and put into our customers by these technologies. But then prior to that, we need to know whom are we trying to address, which geography I'm trying to go, what is my priority area. So largely what I'm trying to say is that there is a lot of scope in innovation, and we should think of innovation means whereby putting a small input, you can get a huge impact. And it has to be always driven by the needs of the business, not by the passion of technology, which each one of us, and we are trying to say, look, I have applied blockchain or I have applied this. That should not be a guiding factor to this. So I'll just like to close that. At the same time, it is like the courses like Professor Agrawal is running can definitely tell you what are the best practices, use cases, as you all were saying, is a beautiful thing, because that gives you a real life, what failed and what succeeded. Therefore, in management studies, use cases become important. But at the end, every organization will have a unique context in terms of who is your competition, which sector or which service you're offering, what is your current state of digitization, and what are your business goals. So the script, digital transformation script, will be unique for each organization. You just can't copy one from it. You can only be helped by looking at the best practices. So I like to conclude by saying that you have to remember that your business transformation script should be driven by business strategy. Your approach has to be agile. Stakeholder engagement in the process is very critical, and prudent use of emerging technologies can help in bringing a lot of efficiency, cost saving, and innovation in products and services to unlock value of customers, employees, as well as other stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Neeta. Very, very informative session and a lot of learnings for me, and I'm sure you all would have. She decoded the digital transformation very well. And some of the things that were very important is that all initiatives should be aligned to the businesses that you have. Data plays an important role, and self-service and empowering employees could be one of the initiatives that you can take, and data ops kind of initiatives are happening in that space. Cloud models are evolving to drive IT. That was very interesting. Baby steps should be taken, and that's very important. If you do a big bang, large project to see something big, and if it fails, you are back to square one. So baby step is very important. Leveraging what others have done rather than reinventing the wheel, and that's what this forum is all about. We have been learning from each other to avoid reinventing the wheel. and predominantly everything revolves around customer or citizen services. And again, as the time passes, those expectations are changing. So you need to have the technologies like AIML, chatbots to stay in touch and ensure that your strategies are changing as per those changes that are happening in the expectations in that. Thank you, Dr. Neeta. We'll have some time towards the end for the question and answer. So we'll move to third keynote session, and we would welcome Akhilesh Tuteja. Please come. And Akhilesh is going to talk about very interesting topic, the digital love triangle. And I'm waiting for the session. This is going to be very interesting. So over to you, Akhilesh.
Thank you very much, Sanjay, for that lovely introduction. And thank you, Ms. Verma, for that wonderful talk. I actually am not going to talk about the digital love triangle because I have a call at 7:30, which I've delayed. And I just don't think it's fair for me to talk about good digital love triangle. I'll just give you a teaser. It's like a trailer. What's common across Silsila, Sagar, Chandni, Kal Ho Na Ho? They're all love triangles, right? They are the best ways you can remember a movie. But in every love triangle, the first part of the movie before interval is all great stuff, right? You got a lover and a beloved and life is good. It's only when post-interval something changes. So I'm going to talk to you today about the pre-interval. Unfortunately, I have, and if I speak less today, do not misunderstand that I know less, okay? It is my kindness to you. As they say that मुझे गाना नहीं आता है फिर भी मैं गा नहीं रहा हूँ is the kind of story मुझे ज़्यादा कुछ आता नहीं है फिर भी मैं बोल नहीं रहा हूँ kind of thing. So I will try and be brief. I'm so sorry about that, and because I have to run, sorry. Otherwise, it's a great topic. So what I would do is that I'll actually pick some points which Ms. Verma talked about. They're quite relevant, and I think I agree with all of them. But I would also like to bring some different perspective, and this is the build up to the digital love triangle. We can have another session, another time, and we'll talk about the post-interval, the love triangle, but let's talk about the first one. If I were to ask you show of hands, how many of you believe that when it's a contradiction between quality and quantity, okay, when it's a contradiction between quality and quantity, quality is more important? How many of you believe that? All right, thank you. And how many of you believe that quantity is more important? Okay, so it seems like consensus, except those who didn't understand my question, who didn't raise the hand. So if you're sleeping, I'm sorry, but I'm going to continue for a few more minutes. So yes, this is a common feeling that we all choose quality over quantity. But I would like to tell a very interesting story to you guys. I'm a storyteller, so I'll tell you a few stories today. So this story goes back to a professor who used to teach, not like what I heard Professor Arpan, or not what we heard about Professor Agrawal. By the way, on Agarwal, I have another story. Before I tell you the story on quantity versus quality, somebody asked me saying, what is the probability when you collect 20 people in a room in Delhi and there'll be one Agarwal in that? And the answer was 100%. So if you randomly pick 20 people in Delhi, of course, educated, of course, qualified like this gathering, you'll find at least one Agarwal. Then they said, what is the probability of finding two Agarwals if there are 40 people in the room? Of course, I know the mathematics and probability. I said, yeah, 100%. But what is the probability of finding three Agarwals with the same spelling? It's 0. But you can see here that all the three Agarwals have same spelling. So I think this is a very special room today. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So coming back to the coming back to the quality or quantity. Actually, I saw two Agarwals there also in that table, and they're two different spellings. So I do believe that the typo is not the case here. Different spelling. So you can see that, okay, if you have the right spelling, you will be on the stage. So all those people who have the double G and AG, think again, maybe you can change and grow up in life. Okay. Sorry about that. No disrespect and no discrimination. But coming back to my quality or quantity story, I'm talking about a professor in not like the Arpan professor, the professor who used to teach ceramics. Okay, this guy, he's an art professor. He teaches people how to build ceramic pieces. So he teaches roughly a class of 50 to 60 people. And he does this experiment over several years. And he says, at the end of my course, when I've taught everything to you, I will divide the class into two parts. And life is very simple. The group A's job is to make as many pieces as you can make, which was worth selling. Okay. But really the finish, quality, perfection doesn't matter. As long as you can sell it even for 50 cents, just make a piece. Depending upon how many pieces you make and how heavy they are, you will get marks. So if you make pieces which all add up to, and I'm turning pounds into kilograms here for the benefit of an Indian audience. So if you sell pieces which are 30 kgs or more, you get A grade. If you sell anything between 20 and 30 kgs, you get B. And if you sell anything less than 20, unfortunately, it's C. All right. So very simple qualification that make a piece which can sell as long as sell 30 kgs or more, your A is guaranteed. Nothing else matters. All right. And the group B is asking you don't have to make many pieces. You got to make one piece. That must be your masterpiece. And that is the piece which you must be proud of. And it must have the best quality you can bring to the table. Pretty easy. They make one piece. And depending upon whichever pieces are ranked by a group of judges, the top 5 will get A, the next 10 will get B, and everybody else will get C. All right, very simple. Now, this experiment has been played for several years by this professor. And interestingly, when the judges are asked to rate which is the best piece, the best piece, the best piece, not the top 5, the best piece never came out of group A. It always came out of group A. And what was the job for group A? The job of group A was to just make something which works, something sellable. Now, what's going on here? Why is quantity winning on quantity as well as on quality? Something is wrong here, right? And the answer lies in something what we call is how you go about doing certain things. So when the stuff is given to group A, they say, let's just make as many pieces as we can, as long as they are just workable. And the group B says, we'll first spend all the time. I want to find that masterpiece, which differentiates me from everybody else. So about 50% of the time is spent on thinking what to make. Another 30% time is spent on designing, making everything. And really the 20% time is spent on making the piece. While this group is making one big masterpiece, the other group is just making. And as a result, they make about 60 to 70 pieces. So the story goes like this. If you make 60 to 70 times something which is just enough workable, you will make a masterpiece way before somebody who's making one masterpiece. So the point I'm trying to make, and I kind of relate to the Professor Verma's point here, saying in the world of digital transformation, don't waste your time thinking what you'll do. Just do it as long as it works. So I'm just speaking of your point about the small incremental innovation. So don't spend your time thinking that what is that one big transformation I'll bring to the world, which will make me the best person, or which will make a lot of time people spend time on finding the differentiated story. Doesn't work. You keep doing story and someday your story will be differentiated. Chances are that if you do 10 times something, you're going to be better than somebody who does only once. So my first suggestion, and I'm going to have maybe 4 or 5 suggestions before my time runs out. So the first one was quantity or quality. Just do it. The second thing, which again is related point I will make, is that time multiplies everything you feed it. Don't lose it. So I'm sure all of you who've been through financial analysis say that compounding is one of the best wonders of the world, right? So if you start investing today, you will be richer than somebody who starts tomorrow. So the same point I'm saying again, as I'm saying, keep doing small things, but don't wait to start. So that's my second related point to that one. Another one, which a lot of time and that relates to my post interval story about the digital love triangle, is that a lot of time people say, what's the most important thing you need from your boss? And I hear more often than the other is I need funding. I need capital. But I can tell you the bosses which can give you funding and capital soon are actually the worst bosses you have. In the digital world, you can get money, but the environment is far more important. So when you go and ask, there's a story which I'm missing here, but if you have to get one thing from your boss, get the right environment. Because if you have the environment right, money is really not big of a problem. Okay. The next point I want to make is that I heard about data, and you talked about 25 billion connected devices, data being everything, but another learning which I will share with you. Before data turns into your friend, it'll be your enemy. Let me repeat it. Before data turns into your friend, it'll be your enemy. So deal with data effectively while it is your enemy. A lot of people say that collect data, and data is oil, fire, oxygen. I don't know how many terminologies I've heard, but data to start with is your enemy. All of you have done some project or the other in your life, and you would realize that once the project goes live, the first person comes and says, report galat hai. So that, right? And that is the toughest moment. So a lot of time people do not invest time in getting the data right before the data can be monetized. So that's another learning which I want to share with you. I'll turn into maybe, a little bit of another story. Okay. And this is the story about another experiment. So this is he's a person who's a pretty good financial analyst, but also a very good pianist. And she said that, I'm better financial analyst than pianist, but I wish I could be a better pianist as well, because now I've achieved, I have money, I can pursue my goals. I'm sure all of you in your midlife crisis would say, ki, ab bhagte. 25 ke bhage nahi, 45 ke bhag rahe hain aur tange toot rahe hain, right? So that's kind of thing which is happening. So she also felt that, now it's time for me to become a better pianist. So she says, how do I become better pianist? What is the benchmark? The benchmark is that the way we have Indian Idol, there are certain shows which evaluate how good a pianist you are, right? And what she did, she basically picked up all the videos of the contests which have happened in the past. All right. So there are contests which happened like Indian Idol season 25 or whatever must be going on right now. So she picked up the last 10 seasons of a piano competition. And then she picked up 1,000 people, 10 seasons, 1,000 people. And these 1,000 people are anyone from amateur to the experts. And these are the people who could evaluate, saying, I listened to this song and I'll tell you whether this piano song was great or not. Okay. And what she did, she divided all of these groups into 3 categories. So the group 1 was only played the audio. So you can't see the video. You can only hear somebody playing piano, right? Pretty easy, right? Because if I'm evaluating somebody on their piano performance, why do I need the video, right? The second group was given muted videos. So they can't really see, they can't really hear what I played, but they can see me play. And of course, the third group had the full clip, which means that they could hear audio and video. And they asked these 1,000 people to evaluate in these 3 different ways, saying, who do you think could be the winner? Interestingly, I'm sure by now you can, yes, sir. Actually, the one which could hear both audio and video because they have had the best experience. They have the same experience as the judges had. So imagine I'm standing here as Anu Malik. I wish I'm not, but the same experience as listening to audio and video. But interestingly, the group which only heard audio was the worst in predicting the winners. They heard the pure performance. And the group which saw the second clip, no audio and only video, they came closest to predicting the maximum number of winners. And that theory goes on to say that, we as judges get biased, not so much by our performance, but how do we look? So for a winner, you don't have to just be a winner. Thank you, sir. For a winner, you also have to look like a winner. If you don't look like a winner, nobody will. And that's why I'm investing in a little bit of nice clothes. But I was outsmarted by professor today that I didn't put on my tie. So sometimes to be a good consultant, you have to look like a good consultant. I'm not the one looking today. So the whole story about when you do a digital transformation, you look like a leader who's going to make digital. And what I heard again from Ms. Verma is that it's not about technology. It's about business. So for you to say that I understand your business, you have to talk like business. You have to appear like business person. And there's a very important concept of marketing in our world, right? We all know that marketing is important. Although I would say that, sometimes people argue saying that, just because Big Basket had a nice feature, will people adopt it? Or does Big Basket also have to engage with the business users like all of you have to do? I'm sure most of you work in the B2B environment here and you will struggle saying, itna badhiya system banaya, koi use hi nahi karta. So why is it that the B2B guys have to suffer all of that atrocities of our users not taking the best stuff which you do, and the B2C guys just enjoying everything? B2C, Big Basket didn't come and send ad to you. They didn't have a customer engagement management. They just did it and everybody uses it. So anyway, so coming back to the point, marketing is important. But sometimes what happens, and another, possibly my third and last story I will tell you today. Some of you might have heard about this NASA's space program. And it was one of the successful programs in 70s and 80s, and it went on to the 90s. and there was a space shuttle Challenger, right? Challenger was NASA's flagship program. Okay, and this is how. So while NASA first got all this money because they said that our mission is to send somebody on the moon and bring him back alive, and that got all the funding. But the next stage of funding was because again you have to look better than the Russians, and what you do to look better than the Russian, which is that you have the reusable shuttle, which means that the person goes and comes back and the rocket is not destroyed. You can actually not the reusable rocket, but reusable shuttle. All right. By the way, Elon Musk is now doing reusable rocket as well. And the whole concept was, and Challenger had several missions. But at that point in time, the president says, no more. What are you guys doing? Just going around. Do I want to fund all your space travel? You're like tourism, do nothing, come back, go to space station, spend 3 months, come back. So what they said that, now we have to make the Challenger program a people's program. Okay. And Krista, a school teacher, was selected to be the first non-defense services personnel to be on the space travel. Krista boarded the Challenger spacecraft. And NASA did a 1-year program to select one school teacher. And by the way, why did they select school teacher? Because school teachers are the people we all admire. And we say, okay, there's a guru. So they picked up a school teacher. Long 1-year selection process, 1-year training process. And Krista was very lucky to be on that plane, that shuttle, but only lucky to go and not to come back. NASA knew that she might not come back. Again, conspiracy theory, I don't believe. I hope someone not from NASA here representing me, my personally, not KPMG. But the point I'm making that it was an important marketing trick for them to say, I want to make it a people's program. So don't make anybody a victim of your marketing plan. I see a lot of digital program where we create graves of our colleagues because says, I build the system, the finance guys are not using it. Maybe your system is not good enough. So with that, I have more stories, but no time. Thank you very much. I hope you really enjoyed this. I did. Thank you so much.
We'll have Q&A again towards the end. Some great learnings. Just do it because that will probably take you ahead of your competition.
That's a Nike's ad. So I got another story. All right.
Okay.
So let me just this is not a story. This is a riddle. Okay. This is a riddle. Let me ask a question. Okay. Listen to me carefully. The riddle goes like this. 3 little monkeys sitting on the top of a tree over a pond. Let me repeat. 3 little monkeys sitting on top of a tree over a pond. The middle one decided to jump. How many of them are now left on the tree? 3. How many people say 3? And how many people say 2? And how many people say 0? 0. How many people say 0? 0. This group is learned people group. Why are you guys confused? How many monkeys are left? 3. So the right answer is 3. And the right answer is 3 because the middle one decided to jump and then jump. So all of you said, just do it. Don't say just do it. Actually do it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And do it early was another point that came out. Right environment. Data is enemy. That example was very good. And you should look like a leader, even if you have the best practices and best technologies. But if you're not looking like a leader, it'll be not seen that. So he was, sorry, I forgot to introduce him. He's global head for cyber security consulting and heading India digital practice at KPMG. Very informative session. Unfortunately, we did not have enough time. So Professor Agrawal, he's gone, is it?
Yeah, he's gone, because he was having some other, meeting.
Okay, so let me meet him. In the meantime, we can start the introduction.
So
we'll have a quick introduction round before we have Hitachi presentation.
So the friends know that now it's time to have interaction, I will say. First, I like to start an introduction from all of you who are attending today's program. And I will request all of you to speak about what's your name and work and yeah. So we can start. Dr. Neetu Verma already we have introduced.
I think you and I can do first and then.
So my name is MD Agrawal. I am currently working as a visiting professor with IIT Bombay and adjunct professor with IIT Gandhinagar. And I am associated with AIMA for this course now. Over to you.
Sanjay Agrawal, dual heading today. I'm a part of this program as faculty and also CTO at Hitachi Vantara. Very, very interesting session today and good to interact with you. Sir.
Till the level of villages. So I have done my MBA in project management. Thank you.
Mr. Prashant Kumar Mittal was also faculty in our course. So let us clap for him. Thank you very much, sir. Wonderful session you delivered.
Yeah, I'm Kamal Karnatak. I work for a company called RJ Corp. I'm working there as a group CIO.
And also faculty, he had to,
Dr. Kamal was also faculty on AI.
I am Rajan this side. I'm country head for government business from Hitachi Vantara.
I am Khushbu Jain. I'm practicing in Supreme Court and partner of law firm Arc Legal.
Hi, good evening. I am Manish Grover, Executive Director, Strategic IS at Indian Oil, looking after the digital journey for IOC currently.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. Yeah.
I'm Dr. Ganesh Singh, Professor in Human Resource Management area at AIMA CME, as well as Program Director for New Age Courses at AIMA. Thank you.
Hi guys, let me show my new guy. So I'm a global deal specialist in pre-sales in Hitachi Vantara, and in my previous life I was a chemical engineer, and mostly with IBM and US-based experience and UK-based experience. So basically pre-sales, deals, and business development, relationships, partners, and alliances. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, good evening. This is Arvind. I represent SEFI. So I'm a business head in SEFI technology. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Puneet Rastogi. I am the IT head in JCB India Limited. I look after the digital transformation and IIoT. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Harvinder Singh Banga, and I work for Mahindra Logistics. I head business technology there.
Thank you.
I'm Manish Goyal.
Okay.
This event with his permission, I run a small business in California as well as here, and I'm still a practicing chemical engineer and struggle with way too many information security issues, especially here.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dharmendra Shrivastava, and I'm part of Hitachi Vantara, taking care of government business.
My name is Ranjana. I work with All India Management Association, looking after media studies.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is OP Singh. I work for a company called Jetec India. We are into auto component manufacturing. We manufacture steering, and we are, if you see, we are subsidiary of Toyota Group.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Upkar Singh. I represent RMSI. I works there as an VP IT, and I takes care of the IT security and the DevOps there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Pooja Chatrat. I am CIO for OnQuest Laboratories. It's a part of Dabur Group, and I take care of the entire IT operations.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Manohar Agrawal here. I am taking care of IT for Jubilant Generics Limited, which is a pharma manufacturing organization.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Alok Khanna. I'm a former executive director of Indian Oil. I retired in December 2021. Before that, I was holding the CIO post in Indian Oil and later headed the digital transformation project in Indian Oil. Thank you.
And you were, yeah, guest speaker and one of the best sessions we had.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kapil Singhal. I am part of the enterprise and government business in Hitachi Vantara based out of Delhi. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Anuj Singh. I am part of pre-sales team, Hitachi Vantara. Thank you.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Neeraj Goyal, and I'm part of business development team for PSUs in Hitachi Vantara.
Very good evening to all. My name is Asim Sehgal. I am part of Partner Alliances team for India.
Good evening, everyone. I am Pawan Khati. I take care of central government business based out of Delhi in Hitachi Vantara. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. This is Kapil Katyal. I am part of the enterprise team from Hitachi Vantara.
Hello. Hi, my name is Kapil Sharma. I am part of pre-sales team, Hitachi Vantara Government.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Rahul Bhatia here. I work with AIMA and I'm the project manager for our new age courses, which includes our digital innovation and transformation course.
Actually, Rahul is taking all hospitality. He's helping us. Friends, I think now we'll move to the next part of this session. We'll try to close
wind up early as
by 8:30
early as
or 8:40. And we have now 3 activities.
So we'll have the Hitachi session
Hitachi
quickly for
session,
15 minutes.
And then we'll have
Panel discussions and
panel
Q&A,
discussion.
followed by certificate distribution. So
then we want the certificates to be given. Yeah.
okay, we'll distribute and then we'll have a panel discussion. So we'll have Hitachi discussion for the next 15 minutes. It's a Hitachi presentation. I would like to invite Rajan Bhandari, Director Government for India, and Gopal, Director Consulting Services, to come on stage. We can just switch the file to Hitachi's. Hitachi Vantara PPT. These are the PPT. Yes, just open that. Yeah. We're going to integrate it. We will just go through towards the end. Thank you.
Honor to present to all of you and share the stage of great people like Ma'am, Akhilesh sir, and all those there. So I'll just a very quick run on Hitachi Vantara. What are we and how we are, and what is our objective of this? We all understand data, digitization, digital initiatives, and all. One thing we understand as a business, whenever we have to present to a customer, right? The thing which is starting, the discussion has changed in last 7 to 10 years, right? Right now, what we talk about is very first thing comes in a monetization. People start from the reverse. Yes, I do want to have an environment which I can monetize fast. So for that, what is the reverse engineering behind all those things? Means my data availability, my insights, my predictability, or everything. So that's an environment where Hitachi is invested a lot. And our approach is totally towards giving a complete end-to-end solution from a reliability, innovation, and time to market environment. That's the philosophy at which Hitachi Vantara is working today. Right. I will run very fast. Right. So what is new to Vantara? We understand Hitachi Vantara, earlier HDS, storage-based company, all those things. So this is not the scenario today. We are one integrated environment where we have an infrastructure, we have a complete our own original products. For insight, we have our own consulting ecosystem, and today we are really fortunate fortunate that we have too many of make in India kind of a software products which we are selling outside the India, right? Like Pentahouse is an environment, a lot of environments, so which Gopi is going to talk about in his slides. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to deliver something to you where we are connected, whether it's a B2B or B2B getting further connecting to B2C environment. So it's basically Hitachi as an organization, as an OT and IT organization, because today we are very well advanced situation in railways. We are big in India as well as outside India. We Hitachi Energy, which was an ABB ecosystem, is again a Hitachi environment. So like this, we have almost around 27 such companies in the country. So this means we understand basically a business outcome, so-called OT environment, and that's the beauty of Vantara, where OT to an IT integration, we're just trying to bring in and try to deliver to our customers as a good insights. So consulting practice, whether it is from Hitachi perspective, it's a Hitachi Vantara or Global Logic. These are two ecosystems of ICT from Hitachi. We understand how to get into the faster time to market, and if anybody needs a help from us to reimagine or re-deliver the environment, we have that kind of a know-how within our system today. So again, it's just one big slide. Basically, what I'm trying to convey is we do have a very innovative iron. When I'm saying iron, means all the hardware environment. We do have a great ecosystem of our own application softwares, and we do have a complete ecosystem and know-how and the resources within the country, basically, which can help our customers with a better insights and better handle an end-to-end environment delivery. This is the last slide I just want to present to you as one Hitachi. See, Hitachi in India is not a one company. We as an ICT group of Hitachi, there are multiple companies within Hitachi, and today I'm representing to you as one Hitachi ICT group, where we have Hitachi Vantara, which is basically an original products, original software applications, as well as complete consulting ecosystem. We have Hitachi MGRM, which is basically into all e-governance, whether we talk about education system, telemedicine ecosystem, agri-tech environment. So that's a complete e-governance application which we have, right? Then Global Logic again is an acquired ecosystem for a complete business continuity, what we are carrying. Hitachi Systems India for all end-to-end system integration work which is required. Hitachi Solutions again, an innovation in transports and in Microsoft cloud ecosystem. Hitachi Payments, which is really, I think we must be knowing about Hitachi and SBI, one new company which has been formed. So for the next level of payment digital ecosystem. And today we are really, we don't market ourselves, but most of the railway ticketing systems and all are being backend provided by all Hitachi Payments. So this is what one big Hitachi ecosystem. We're almost around $700 to $800 million in the country today, but still we don't qualify for what's called Make in India's environment because of the policies of the government. But this is our one pitch of Hitachi within the country. So this is again English. I don't want to get into it in the essence of time. So I'm just handing over to Gopal to please take over and just get into Hitachi Digital Solution. Over to you.
So first of all, I would like to really, August audience, thank you. And in the interest of time, really August audience, great audience, Miss Neeta ma'am and, Akhilesh. And I mean, sometimes you get overwhelmed seeing these overachievers. So let me, in the interest of time. So the first slide I would like to say is, the transformation is from, like in Neeta ma'am's thing, digital transformation. We've transformed from a pure play infrastructure to a full stack player. Full stack player in the sense, services, products, engineering, design thinking. It's a full stack play. When you compare the other system integrators, I don't want to take names. They're all system integrators in India or abroad. But here we have a product engineering, full-fledged, $8 billion global company. We have a, services, design, lateral. So it's an end-to-end integrated company, We don't talk a lot, we don't market a lot, but it's a pure stack player. And coming back to Neeta ma'am, right? Yeah, Neeta ma'am's, and I was very impressed by her take on customer experience. Eventually, I'm sorry to say, but in India, we talk about technology, but technology is just an enabler to solve business problems and customer experience. Today, you can have vestibule A, vestibule B, technology A, technology B, technology, that all comes and goes. But eventually, you have to solve business problems and customer experience. And also going a step forward, in my humble opinion, when you anticipate the customer needs, you have to, like a chess move, you have to anticipate what the customer wants the next 2 years. Not just understanding, making a kuch kuch hota hai or some kind of decent movie. What is the next movie? What is the next customer experience? So it's a chess play. It is just like chess. And in tennis also, we make the moves thinking like Andre Agassi used to say, what will this guy, where will this guy move to the next level? Which move is he going to make? You have to anticipate that. That's the next play. That's what Apple's and all the great companies of the world do. So I think you have to anticipate customer experience, and that's how you're going to outcompete the competition. Coming back to Hitachi's, we don't market a lot, but I've been in IBM, Capgemini, Oracle Consulting, and all that. But these guys have engineering, product, design, lateral thinking, and they integrate it. But we have to sell it a lot. So we're trying to sell a lot and market it a lot. So I've taken too much time for that. So we have a pure stack play. For example, in the cloud services, we have hyperscaler. We have, it's a combination. And let me come to the next slide. So this, he touched about it. Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me, guys? Folks, yeah. So in this slide, already my colleague touched about it. So data fabric. So you already know about modernizing the digital core, infrastructure, platform, infrastructure as a service. That's the first layer in the stack. So Hitachi offers 3 pillars. The first pillar is the digital core, infrastructure core. That is where the DevOps and the pure play infrastructure application modernization. We also take care of ERP mod. We have a $80 billion application modernization business. 80 million, I'm sorry. The next play is the data fabric, which you're all familiar with, like data pipelines, automation, like the Informatica stuff, automation. And that's the second layer, optimize the data fabric. So here we automate the pipelines, we take care of data modernization, automating cloud workloads. So that is the second layer. That's where the all these Azure data lakes, Delta lakes, all that come into picture. The third is the typical AI/ML engineering and all that kind of stuff. So basically, in a sense, we're saying we are integrating everything together, but we have to build and market it a lot. So it's a combination of engineering, design, product, and my colleague touched about Lumada. So Lumada is especially for the oil and gas, energy, manufacturing, process orientations. It's an end-to-end industrial IoT product. Lumada has been in existence for at least 5 to 8 years. It has its defects, but Lumada has an industrial IoT. It can be used for supply chain deficiencies, automations. So I think then we have a product called Hark, and that's where we touch upon cloud optimization, reliance, maintenance, managed services. We invested a lot of money and site centers. Thank you. We'll take questions later. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you, Gopal. Very, very nice session. We'll finish the certificate distribution now. So we'll jump to certificate distribution, the most important part of this event. And Rahul, are you around? Rahul has to get the certificates, the most important piece.
Dr. Neeta Verma, the stage our
Rahul?
faculty who's present right now, Prashant Kumar Mittal and Mr. Alok Khanna, and Khushbu was also for a short session our faculty, Khushbu Jain. So you be on the stage, madam will present the certificates, okay? So that a nice photo will come with you. And Dr. Ganesh Singh sir. So you please come on the stage. Madam, please come. I think we'll do here. Yeah. So you call the name, Rahul, you call the name. Because, come, hello.
You call the name, I'll take this certificate. Turn this on.
Yeah, for the participant. Yeah.
Mr. Harvinder Singh Banga.
He worked for Mahindra Logistics. सब लोगों का फोटो आना चाहिए.
Mr. Manohar Agarwal. Congratulations.
You give now.
Mr. O.P. Singh.
मैडम के साथ दीजिए, आपकी बहुत सही है.
Congratulations, sir. Mr. Puneet Rastogi.
Hello, come. No, I put on the link social media. इतना मेहनत किया सब लोगों ने.
Thank you.
Miss Pooja Chatrat.
All our CIOs go. Sanjay, you also give one.
And finally, Mr. Upkar Singh.
Upkar Singh.
Thank you.
Congratulations to all the participants.
We can have a group photo with all the participants who have collected certificates today quickly. Please come forward.
Come forward.
Yeah, along with certificates.
Yeah, please.
And faculty also, anyone who is sitting behind Dr. Karnatak.
कर्नाटक के नीति के किधर गए? हाँ इधर आ जाएगा, आ जाओ. आप पहले इधर आओ, इधर आओ.
आगे पीछे थोड़ा हो जाते हैं.
सूत्रधार है. Actually, we have some.
थोड़ा पीछे जाना पड़ेगा आपको. अरे Rahul, you also come. Rahul, come fast. We should have you in the photo as well. Yeah, please take one more.
You are giving all administrative support. Wait, one more. Yes, fine.
Thank you. No break.
No.
Okay, we'll have the last round now. Please settle down.
Some snacks at least.
Rahul, quickly, can we have the Khushbu? We have only panel discussion, so 45 minutes
Yeah.
Q&A.
Yeah. Last minute drop out.
It's hot there. Yeah. So these tea being served there, people are there, just a bio break. Shall we get something on the table so that we can save time, or wouldn't be practical? Okay, and then just request them to come. So welcome back, and we would move to the next part, which is last part of the event. We would have few experts on the panel, and there'll be a lot of interesting discussion around digital transformation. So I would like to welcome Mr. Manish Grover, who's ED and for strategic IS and IS. So welcome at IOCL. Khushbu Jain, Supreme Court lawyer, and you have heard her about data privacy and data protection laws. That will be an interesting discussion. Professor MD Agarwal, ex-CIO BPCL and professor at IIT Mumbai and Gandhinagar. And I'll have the honor of moderating this discussion. So welcome all the panelists. So we'll have 2 rounds of discussion here. Very interesting conversation around digital transformation pertaining to industry, specifically the oil and gas, pertaining to data protection laws, pertaining to how digital transformation can be aligned to the business. That's the biggest topic, and you heard almost everyone talking about it in the keynote session. So we'll start with the challenges, and the second round will have solutions that they have in mind for you to take it back. And we will end with a Q&A that you all can have, and that will be the end of the event. So let me start with Manishji. Manishji is heading the initiative at IOCL. And you know, oil and gas is one industry that has seen tremendous transformation. But before we come to the solution or the transformation part of it, we would like to hear, keeping the digital transformation in mind, in your organization or in oil and gas industry in general, what are the challenges that were seen? And through digital transformation, we are eventually targeting those as a low-hanging fruits.
Thank you, Sanjay, and good evening to all. I think we had a very interesting evening. First part of it, as our storyteller was saying, the first round of it. And we are now at the climax of the entire thing. So I kind of, I was relating to what was being discussed in the first part of the evenings by Neetaji and other people. And a lot of perspective things were being talked about. This is what needs to be done when we do something like this. And I was thinking what we have done to be where we are, and how did we go about it? Did we really follow the path which was there? And the answers lies yes to a lot of people and a lot of things what we have done. But to start with, let me say that yes, when the world was going digital, the companies like oil and gas could have not been left behind. We were, faced in the last 2.5 years, 3 years with a pandemic kind of situations, disruptions like that, for which companies like us, which a large supply chain management kind of concept, like if you look at IOC's size, which manages about 50% of India's oil and gas in terms of, and the kind of reach what we have, and the kind of imports what we do in terms of crude and LPG and other things. So it was a Herculean task running 10 refineries, managing LPG supplies to almost 14 crore customers, and then also implementing the government's programs like PMGKY, making free refills issues through our systems and designs like that. So a lot of need, as they asked me, arise from such business needs, as Neetaji was saying. All digital technologies, all things have arisen out of the business needs. People like us embarked upon this kind of a business need in 2000s, early part of it, when we implemented the SAP to start with as an ERP. And that followed it up with a lot of business ideas into LPG. And then we came up with another reimagination of customers' experience in the form of a CRM, which we got started implementing 2017. And as luck would have it, it got completed at the cusp of the pandemic when it hit us. So we went actually live with supplies with that kind of a scenario. So idea was to, as they said, customer is the core point, and that is what we were trying to resolve and reach out to them. Apart from that, the oil and gas sector, we also felt that there were still gaps. If you look at it, we are a large manufacturing organization. We produce, petrol, diesel, LPG out of our refineries. So there is a operational technology working in my refineries. There is an IT which was very well versed. We were using for 20 years. So come 2018, when we realized that there were gaps into our technologies which can be filled up with the new buzzword at that point of time was digital. So we then created something known as iDrive, which I represent, and Mr. Khanna sitting right there. He represented just before me, and he had a session with you, which actually was the digital readiness and IT enablement for my company. It's Indian Oil's digital readiness and IT enablement. This is iDrive. It's an acronym, but it symbolizes a lot of things when we look at it, how we went about doing it. So we had the ideation sessions, and we have the business problems. As she very rightly mentioned, that unless you have the business problems in front of you, you just can't bring in a technology. You just can't bring in a technology for the heck of having a technology in our company. So the ideation sessions, we did use IT consultants. We did use all our manpower who were there in refineries, marketing, pipelines. We transport in a huge way. And we came out with an initial list of 79 such initiatives, which were trying to answer and giving me, solutions to optimizing my production systems. How do I manage my LPG plants on Sunday operations and things like that? Then there was a lack of coherence between the IT/OT networks and that use of AI and ML tools to bring about, data-driven decision-making in my refineries, optimizing so many of my units which are there in my refineries. So those kinds of gaps were identified. And those are the reasons, and those are the challenges which put us onto the path of using digitization and digitalizations both in a big way. And refinery was a big stack for us. It was one of the places where we had not embarked upon a digital thing. Earlier to that, it was only OEMs running the show in a large organization like that. And then came the emerging technologies which were there. So largely when I say these are the problem areas which pushed us towards this, and how we went about doing it, we can answer when we go to the next question, sir.
Thank you. That's very, very interesting. Doing a digital transformation in a small industry or small organization is very easy. But if you have to think of a digital transformation in an organization like IOCL, trust me, it's not easy. You have to do a lot of planning, execution challenges are there. So great stuff, and we'll come back to you in the second round to understand how you handled and what kind of initiatives you took. Let's come back to the data part of it. Khushbuji, we see globally a lot of focus around data privacy, data protection. A lot of laws are coming up. European Union has come up with GDPR. India is also working on that. So before we come to the laws and solutions, just wanted to understand what are these challenges and what are we trying to do in the global space and particularly in India?
See, privacy is a very recent term, especially for us. If I go back 10 years back, if I say you have a right to privacy or we should not share the data, all of us would not imagine what are we talking about. Any kind of information collection or anything we were happily giving, because our focus was never about privacy. Why? Because we never understood that what kind of things will accompany if your data is being given away with. We never understood those things. Then came recently that we started seeing cyber crimes happening. So much so that pandemic literally saw 300 times of rise where cyber crimes are concerned. Now, how these crimes happen, people realize that crimes happen, more your data is out, more the cyber criminals have your data, easy for them to literally orchestrate the entire crime, do social engineering and commit a crime smoothly. More your data is out, it creates a problem. It was not just a cyber crime against the individual, but businesses were being hampered. Any business which has a more data of yours, which has a more access to the data, the churn data will be in a better advantage. That's about economy. Now let's come on the war situation. Any country who has an access to your data, to your critical data, to your systems, it becomes more easy for them to precisely, literally win a war without even entering to your borders or coming close to your borders. We have seen that recently in Russia. They have access to your things with precise location. Let's say I get to know that where are the artilleries, where are the key, positions, key areas, and I can very well guide my physical army to orchestrate the way it has to do it. So that's how all of us understood that, okay, data, yes, it is bringing us a lot of ease in our life. All of us, our life became more smooth. We get more informed choices. We get more informed services. It's better for us to have it. If I search something, let's say I'm searching something, I get a better services from those companies. It becomes easy for government to implement any kind of schemes. It becomes easy for any company to come up with more solutions. All of us gave us a very good opportunity, but with that, we did not realize that data was becoming very core for criminals. Now, with this, governments across globe realize that it is an essential data. It's a national security issue. So they started implementing that any company who's picking up your data, that is, you're a data fiduciary, you churn people data, or you utilize people data, users data, that is data principals data, you need to follow certain rules and regulations and guidelines in order to keep that data safe. So they're not restricting you to not collect data, because practically it is not possible. I think all of you sitting here would agree with me that we cannot now run without data. None of the institutes can run without data, be it health, be it automobile, be it transportation, be it implementation of education, be it implementation of social services, social schemes, or so on and so forth. Nothing can work without data now. We need data. We need certain set of things to execute. That's why the government started realizing that let's bring in certain security levels which these companies, these data fiduciaries have to follow, so that whenever they take a data, they also have an obligation to secure data of the users so that it doesn't go. It was not just users, but also the data has been secured, whereas countries involved. Cross-border data sharing was one of the aspects which data protection started bringing in its norms. So GDPR came up, European Union, US came up with its norms, Australia came up with norm. We also proposed data protection bill, and that bill is yet to see the light. But yes, a lot of changes have come up, a lot of stakeholders have come up with their suggestions, and every time it has been tabled in Parliament, every session I come up with, this time the data protection bill is coming. But yes, it is yet to see. Now, coming back to your question that why exactly, what are the challenges we are facing? See, the challenges we are facing is we are still at that nascent stage. Our industries are still growing. So the challenges today is that you need to bring in data protection norm, because if you don't bring in, people do not want to implement that as a design. What we have to today look into, not just a data protection, which is after that, if you collect the data, how you have to do it, but you have to bring in privacy by design. You have to incorporate privacy by design. You need to have those 9 or 10 principles of privacy, which are enshrined in APJ Shah Committee, which were there globally, which was again adopted by the APJ Shah Committee, and then Shri Krishna Committee got in after the Supreme Court's judgment. Involve or imbibe that while you're designing your services, while you're designing your software, while you're designing your industry. I think all of you must have already been doing all those things with regard to consent, with regard to openness, with regard to option to erase, with regard to security, with regard to limitation purpose, collection purposes. All those basic principles have to be imbibed. Now, what started, why exactly now do we need data protection? I think all of us would agree with. Companies would not agree because another layer of compliance. But I think all of people sitting here would love that it is coming up, because that's our job, that's our field now. It should be there. It brought in the entire layer of CISOs, which we never saw some time back, that a company had to have a layer of CISO. With now new data protection coming in place, you need to have more strict compliance in place. More strict the compliance, easier for you, because if I just point out few things for you, today's state is a lawlessness. Lawlessness is never good, because what we do today is, if I look at IT Act and what exactly IT Act rule talks about with regard to data protection is that you have to take care of reasonable security measures to safeguard the data. Now, what do you mean by that reasonable measures? There is no definition. So all of us adopted that, okay, let's go for ISO 27001, then ISO 27701, we all started adopting. But see, one has to understand NIST came up with good regulations. We have to look in that now. For companies, it's better, a law is better than a lawlessness state, because you are aware that, okay, this is how I have to go. These are not the things which you can implement later stage, the cost, the smoothness of it. So best is to get laws in place right now, so that your entire procedure works in that manner, your compliance work in that manner, your entire systems work, not just softwares, not just the machinery, not just IT system, but your right from front end people to your director level people. Everybody is aware about how things have to go. Why so? If you look at GDPR, per breach, you have 2 to 4% of penalty per breach, global turnover. If you look at the data protection bill, if it comes in the same manner as it is, then we also have a similar thing, which is 2 to 4% of penalty per breach globally. Apart from that, India never had something called as class action suit. We never had something like that. If I have to go against, let's say, any of the company, my data has been stolen, I'm a user. We usually, today's state is, if my data is stolen as a user today, and with that data, there is any kind of a profit or a loss, in that situation, I can go against under IT Act of 43. But with new act, if it comes in the same manner, what it says is, 1, there would be penalty imposed by the authority. Second, there can be an investigation done, and there can be another level of penalty which can be imposed. Third, class action suit, that let's say, I don't want to pick up, but let's pick up largest of the, let's pick up Airtel, because I think maximum of, or Vodafone, there is a breach by Vodafone, at Vodafone. And do I, as a Vodafone user, have a right to go against? Yes, the new bill says yes. Now, not just me, all the users together. And now, will I go for 10,000 rupees? No, I will not. I'll be like, let's not. The lawyers fee would be more, and the pain I'll take. But what class action suit says is, all of us can club together and go against Vodafone with one petition. So now, when that comes in place, imagine lakhs of people going against you, even if there is a minuscule of 10,000 rupees of a penalty which has to be given to one, multiply it with lakhs. So So practically with that coming in place, you will be literally in debt, you'll be out of business, and you might be bankrupt and you might owe a lot of money. That kind of severe situation that can come in place. So the best is to have law in place. Now, why law in place? It's not just India. India is coming up with rules and regulations. But see, we all of us saw how things happened, whereas Chinese companies were involved, they were blocked, they were running smoothly. The kind of business with Tencent had, the way it went down after India blocked TikTok, which was part and parcel of Tencent, the way its shareholding went down, the way its business went down. Compare now with us, that why not we have those incorporations, those things right now in place for us to be leader globally. Because these norms are not just India. Data protection is not just India, it's across. The countries which do not have like India are also coming up with rules and regulations. Brazil is looking into, African states are coming up with data protection norms. Countries which are not there, all of them are coming. Now with India, we still have few which people tend to ignore. One is reasonable security standard rules of 2011. Then we have IRDAI rules. We have SEBI, which has come up with rules with regard to security. The recent one, which Certain asked, which created a lot of buzz from past almost a month, where Certain said that in case of any kind of cyber incident, now the cyber incident again is a very wide term, with companies which covered literally everything, right from data center to call center to anybody and everybody, to health to move. So, you know, the definition covers practically all the companies. So Certain says that in case there is any kind of cyber incident, you have to report within 6 hours. And IBM report says for any cyber incident, for any data breach incident, to understand that incident has happened, it takes literally 30 to 40 days for completely somebody to understand. Now that 30 to 40 days is always very late, because what we're talking here is a large data set, and if it's combined with 20 more different data set altogether, can be really very harmful for individual, for country, for specific companies, or so on and so forth. So Certain came up with 6 hours window for all the companies. Now, this might be very difficult for companies to comply with, especially if we talk about large corporations like his. How do you comply? First, to ascertain where it is happening. The second situation comes, I think all of you are from tech background, that if there are vulnerabilities and it's not been patched yet, if you give notices out, you're still open to those vulnerabilities. Those teeny tiny more other hackers would be like, oh, there's a vulnerability, let me also attack over there. So to understand, the third comes is, what kind of information you want to make it in public. If you're a listed company, SEBI has come up with this regulation that you have to inform what kind of information, how much information you want to make it in public, how it could go, whether it will have a reputation loss. The fourth comes is evidence preservation, that you need to preserve evidences the way it has to, and it cannot be done later. It has to be done at that very moment. It has to be done in a proper manner. So, and obviously to have external person to come in place and to ascertain that breach has happened where. The fifth comes is all your third party agreements where you have done it, where liability is on you, where you're taking care. Let's say you're a data center and you have done an agreement with people where you are the one obligated to take care of the security. And in case of a breach at your place, those people have a right to sue you. So how much are you exposing yourself with this 6 hours of a window, which is to be implemented by the Certain? Hence, I would say that it's Certain ka implementation, though I am in favor, but still I'm not completely in favor. So the best is to have a Data Protection Act in place, which demarcates country, company specific or industry specific, and then give guidelines industry specific, that these are the standards these industry has to follow, these are the standards these industry have to follow, these are the procedures, and these are the timelines, these are the different brackets, that if this kind of incident happen, your reporting time is this much, this happens, reporting time is this much. And also to come up that the obligation, which it is silent on, that once it goes to Certain, but once it goes out, how much is the time for you to make it public? Whether it has to go public right there, and what implications it would have, because those damages cannot be taken back. Reputation is one of the biggest losses people go through. So yeah, I think overall, if you look into, we need data protection bill to come at the earliest, because we do have teeny tiny laws everywhere and it becomes difficult. RBI came up with circular which talked about data localization. That RBI came up with another circular which talked about cybersecurity to be taken care by the banks, and these are the standards they have to take care of. We as individuals do not know that what exactly are they, and in case breaches happen, if I'll just shock all of you, just give me one answer from all of you, that in case there is a money loss from your account, if you have shared an OTP or there is a fault of yours, are you liable to pay, or the bank will refund the money to you? Bank will not refund? Oh, the RBI circular says that if you report that within stipulated time period, there's a certain percentage you're liable to get it back. Now, let's say there's a breach there's a hack that has happened. There's a cybersecurity incident either in your phone or either at the bank side or some third party in between. So nobody knows. There's a third party involved into it. Now, in that scenario, who's liable? Bank has to pay, but I don't think so bank ever replies to you. The third scenario that comes is there is a fault at the bank. Then bank has to pay. Now, in all these scenarios, who has a burden of proof to prove? Burden of proof lies on whom? The bank. Sorry. The bank. The burden is on bank. I may help to expedite, but if I'll read and I'll share with everybody, I think we are in the group, I'll share the circular with you. It's very simple. You don't need a lawyer. You don't need anybody. It's as simple one pager for you to understand. Burden of proof lies on the bank. It is not on us. It's good for us to put on everything because you are the one with the first hand. I know you're with the confusion. I'll read it. Don't worry. With the next question of in between, I'll bring and I'll read it for you. So I'm just saying that there are so many things happening with so many things across that it becomes difficult for people to understand, for user to understand their rights, for companies to understand their liabilities and what all options do they have, what all procedure they have to follow. And in the future, if you don't follow, these regulators might come up with some actions against you. So why not bring in one holistic law which has everything in place with regard to personal data, non-personal data, with regard to sharing of data, cross-border sharing of data, so that you have everything aligned. Over to you.
So this is very, very good one. We'll have some time towards the end for Q&A. We'll have some time. In fact, very interesting part, good to see government and regulators are moving towards citizen-centric or consumer-centric laws, and keeping that in mind, the Data Protection Act and laws are good for all of us. We'll come back to you, Khushbu. Professor Agrawal, we have seen in digital transformation, many times digital initiatives fail. Although technically they are successful, but at the business level, there's no value seen. Many times the projects do not even get the management approval and funding. What are the reasons of failures that you see and our CIOs should keep in mind?
This question keep visiting every time in any course, any program, that what are the reasons for failures? And I have spent nearly 4 decades in this industry, and I will say that this is not a new question. When I was 10-year-old in the industry, similar question. 20 years, 30 years when ERP was being 20 years, 5 years, 25, 15 years back when ERP was being implemented. I will say we should follow the basics. Basics. I will share some 2-3 my live experience. After my retirement from Bharat Petroleum, I joined India's largest IT major as a consultant, oil and gas, for their oil and gas business. And I used to deal with the global companies like Shell, British Petroleum, Petronas. I will not name the company right now, but I was told my my boss that Mr. Agrawal, you have to visit so and so company in London, and I have to meet so and so person who is their CIO. So I asked him what is the context. They are facing certain problems, and they are not. Probably there is a now management call for the CIO that after 5 years of this project, why this project is not taking a shape. I went and met that person, CIO. I will not name again the company or the CIO. And he gave me a 15 minutes window. They are very busy guys, and very formal guys. He gave me 15 minutes window, and there was a senior person from TCS also accompanied me, who was account manager over there. And then I start talking about my story of BPCL. My story of BPCL. I was having some 15 slides. I say, sir, if it's your permission, what I have done in BPCL for refineries, I like to share with you this story. Basically, it was a end-to-end process automation project in which I handled in BPCL before my retirement. It was a 3-year project. And it has won many national awards, and I have presented that project in many international conferences also. So when I start talking about that energy management, some of the except 2-3 here, my colleagues from IOCL, it may be budget for you. I want, he was very impressed. He said, why we have not come to know about this thing, Mr. Agrawal? I joined only TCS 2 months back. I'm not there. In fact, TCS was consulting on that project 5 years back to this company. And to my surprise, after three months, that person was asked to leave that company because the project was completely failed. And then I analyzed that, and you will not believe that, when I was told that, this is a project and this is what they are using, software or whatever, I was damn clear that time, what they're using, what their approach, the way their methodology of their doing the project is wrong. Because I was somehow, I got very good experience in this industry, manufacturing industry, oil and gas industry, especially in the refineries. What was the failure? I'll analyze at the later. Second, you have heard the story of Jeffrett G. In 2014 and 2012, I remember that 2012 and 2013, we used to give example of Jeffrett. He has transformed G. He closed down many G business and say, now let us move to the software. You know the story? And in 2017, he was asked to quit. What was the reason? What was the reason? Because he focused only on one side, but he has not taken along with the other wings of G, and G start booking a lot of losses. The other companies start looking losses. He was only having focus, and he said that we will multiply, we will extrapolate like Amazon is doing. Amazon is a different kind of business. It's not a G cup of tea. And then he spent he has invested a lot of money in that software and what that G platforms predicts, and he was completely failed. And third story, which I like to tell you about our Indian companies, Tata Steel and Asian Paints. You all keep hearing that Tata Steel has turned around now. Turn around means that now the company which was in the losses a few years back, whatever the global situations today, the price keeps changing, whatever situation keep changing, but something is working at the foundation level. It's a software. If you study the Tata Steel turnaround, World Health Organization, World Economic Forum has named 2 of the Tata Steel company as a lighthouse. Lighthouse becoming in world, only there are 63 lighthouses, only 360, because lighthouse, is some of my participants must be remembering in the session which I told you that if you like to benchmark your company, then you please take the lighthouse, example of the World Economic Forum and try to compare that. Why Tata Steel has been named as it? One common denominator which I found is that all these companies who are successful, or all those companies who are not successful, they fail in one thing called the operating model. The operating model. What is the operating model? There was a time when we were using IT as a service, IT as a factory, but today IT as a business. IT has to work. We used to always say that business continuity planning. IT is for efficiency of the business, but today IT is for developing the business capabilities. Tata Steel is successful because IT is able to develop their business capabilities. Why that company, energy company, was not successful? Because IT has failed to develop the business capabilities. But what principle we should use to develop the business capabilities? There should be some ground principles. You can't do that. This is my idea. Okay, genius. There are no shortage of genius in the world. But somehow everybody is not genius. So you have to follow some ground ideas where I say that follow the idea of the operating model. As we know that operating model is when you want to execute the strategy, your enterprise strategy using IT, then we should try to develop our own operating model. What is the operating model today? When we have IT mindset of ERP and what is called data centers, or the virtual machines, all those things. But today the operating model is something different. We have to use cloud. We have to use agile. We have to use DevOps. Are you today working on that operating model? If that energy company would have worked on that operating model, probably they would have not been failed. So my first advice, and the reason for these failures are that companies are fail to understand what is the operating model which they should try to adopt. There are few elements of the operating models. Like one of the elements of the operating model is that way of working. Whether you like to work in agile team or you like to work in hierarchical model or waterfall kind of thing. I have experience in my career, the project which I have talked about that BPCL, when I have implemented this project in agile manner, business and IT team used to sit hand to hand. My team was not knowing the refinery business so closely, but after 1 year's time, they were also competent because they were working hand to hand with the business. They will not do anything without the business. Agile way of working. So I'll say that one of the reasons, Sanjay, which you asked me, that key reason is that though there are many reasons, failure is that you have to be very clear what should be my operating model. Operating model, because I am now a professor, I will not go in the consulting mode. I will say that let us apply our basics.
Absolutely.
The basics are very important.
Thank you. I think we have to get the operating model right, and we must leverage IT for the business in a successful manner. So thank you very much. With this, we come to an end of first round. Second round, in the interest of time, will be very short. We'll try and have about 1 minute or 2 minutes max from each one of you. So let's start again with Manishji. Manishji, you talked about digital transformation in oil and gas and some of the initiatives in IOCL. Trust me, these are large organizations and you have to think twice as a part of your execution strategy before you roll that out. What are a couple of initiatives either in the industry or in IOCL that you think are highlights of the transformation that our participating CIOs should know?
Thank you. I think we had a tremendous round in terms of PDB, what he talked about, and the project execution, what he spoke. I would have loved to actually contribute to what she was saying, because as a data user, Indian Oil uses Aadhaar information of about 114 crore customers in my database, and how we deal with them in my systems. What are the norms that we follow? I am a user of that. I am on the other end of the, she was saying.
I have represented IOC, BPC, HPC, Aadhaar in Supreme Court.
Wow. Yeah, okay.
I'm aware.
Yeah, you are aware. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, we do follow most of the government norms because we are into that business of LPG, where that is a subsidized business and government has mandated that. But yeah, we have structured our IT systems in a manner wherein we are able to, create a vault of that, and whatever norms are in place from UIDI, they are in place. But yeah, PDP, we are all looking forward to it, and having a law is always better than the lawlessness, what she was mentioning. I do agree with that. And yes, what Mr. Agrawal was saying, that is a cornerstone in any organization like ours when we say implemented a lot of initiatives. To give an insight very quickly to what we have done as part of the iDrive, when he said, though IOC I was mentioning has been, at the forefront of using the technologies in 2000 onwards with ERPs, but to look at and to boost the technology stacks and what was the changing environment, and to bring refineries as the focus of attention, we bring the digitalization and this iDrive team, which basically we were trying to, stack up the refinery tech stack and make them analytical models out of that. So what we have done, we have used basically 4 kinds of pillars, which I say in my company. First pillar is using and unlocking the AI and ML based technologies to derive the insights to various norms, which I'll deliberate a bit. Second is to use the emerging technologies, the platform based approach using RPAs kind of models. Third is to have a custom tools, more than 50 to 60 custom tools to, take care of a lot of solutions and the problem statements which come out from the various divisions across the board. In my own iDrive initiative, we worked with refineries, marketing, pipelines, R&D, wherever the problem lies, and it's a business problem we deal with. And the fourth and the most important, what he was mentioning, is the change management. Unless and until the fourth part is there, first 3 will fail. And for doing the first three parts, what we do is we involve, we engage, and we create the awareness among the three people and the stakeholders which are there in the company. And it is a top-driven process. The leaders, as they say, when I reach out to my chairman, I don't ask for funds. Somebody mentioned ask for the environment. Yes. And we ask for the solutions and they give us the problem statements. Funds are not, mentioned about that. But yes, what we add to the bottom line and the top lines are always at our mind when we create a particular solution. So as far as analytical solutions are concerned, we have implemented about 30 plus such solutions in refineries, which are basically which cover the multiple value levers such as top line improvements, yield maximization in refineries, ancillary cost reduction, availability improvements, to name a few, which you will understand what I'm talking. And the energy management systems, recently we have started at Panipat, the PNC and other refineries are going to take it forward. And for the customer centricity, which is always at the core of Indian Oil's whatever objectives we did, we also had introduced, focused interventions in the form of to understand the customer experience. We use the NLP-based aspect-based analysis where we actually scraped through the Google comments, which people post on their own. And we read that, we understood that, and we use them to create value and to look at the business propositions which come across. And besides that, a lot of, as we mentioned, the predictive analytics part of the story, we are into a data which is very critical. We are not allowed to share that data outside my systems. So we devised another issue by creating and making OEMs come to my data centers to analyze that data which is coming from the OT systems and derive a lot of value out of that. We have derived value out of heat exchangers, how to clean those things. We have submitted such papers and which have been accepted by them. Then the emerging tech platforms, when I said we have used RPA in a very big way to create bots and to repetitive kind of all this activities have been automated. To engage my people, we created a lot of hackathons within our company where almost all those non-tech people also participated, and we have about 20 such cases which have been given by them as part of that. So besides that, in the interest of time, some of the very nice techs, the custom tools which we have created and we are working are the integrated the planning tool, which is coming up in a big way from the purchase of crude oil to the sale at the end of the petrol pump, all in an integrated, optimized fashion. Then we are creating value for the company's people at the top by creating a cascading dashboard, which will give me everything which happens in the company from each KPI is monitored real time from the place it derives from. The APC analysis of my the refinery businesses. Then third part is that we have created a data lake called the data management platform, which enables me to analyze any kind of data, either OT or IT systems are concerned. So these are the things which we are doing. These are very, very non-exhaustive lists, and we are adding to it by creating more ideation workshops with all the business people and the divisions, so that more and more problems are being given to us, and we may find a digital solution to that. Thank you.
Looks like it's a highly digitally matured kind of journey that you are going through. Great, thank you very much. Khushbu, coming back to you, what could be your views on upcoming laws and what could be the role of technology for the CIOs who have to comply to that?
Okay, first let me just answer the burden of proof thing. I've already put it on the group. I think everybody is added, and I can just read the 12th point of the RBI circular, which I have given to all of us, which specifically reads that the burden of proving customer liability in case of unauthorized electronic banking transactions shall lie on the bank. So, and a point before that specifically talks about that it is a liability of the bank to make their customers aware about this regulation. Exactly the point. Exactly, no. No. No, not at all.
And one more thing I'm sorry to say. It's a global dominance. Chinese, Russian cybersecurity is light years ahead of Indian cybersecurity. And they're already hacking the systems. You know,
It's very simple for a customer. You don't have to engage with the lawyer.
No, no, it's sir. I'll reply to you. I'll reply to that. No, no, it's very simple. You have a phone number also. You have a banking ombudsman. Then you have a RBI ombudsman after 3 months. Trust me, every day I keep getting one or the second people who have said that I have lost 10,000, 30,000, 2 crores, 10 crores. And what bank says is, sorry, please go register an FIR.
No. Sorry, Kushbu. See, this is a very realistic, we deal with it all the time, cybersecurity. So it's a game plan. It's a Western and Indian versus the Russian and Chinese game. And Chinese cybersecurity is always watching the Indian subcontinent. It's a bigger, like you said, it's a global play. And Indian cybersecurity is nowhere near the Chinese or the Russian. Believe me, they are geniuses.
I'll just add, we have always, see, Russia, China and North Korea have always been offensive side of it. We have never been offensive so much so as compared to Russia, China and North Korea. They are offensive. They get into your system and they sit. We have never been, they have always been defensive. So I understand, but I think there are changes happening. I don't have much knowledge about it. I'm very limited only. I can share that, yes, even our army, our security, our key people, our key people are also entering into the part of going.
Hacking it. And Pakistan. That's
absolutely. So we are also in the same level now. We are also going offensive, and let's see that if we match the same level of North Korea and Russia and China. But nonetheless, coming back to your original question, that what exactly are we seeing in the future? What exactly are we seeing in the future? One good thing that has come up is we have recognized the importance of data, and we realize that bringing a law, something which we got it like drone came up. All of us saw, I think there was a delivery by the pizza of pizza by the drone, is where DGCA realized what is happening. There would be a security issue. One circular came, strict no to the entire drone. Just one circular of 2-pager or 1-pager, no or embargo to everything. Our industry, drone industry, was going way ahead. At that time, we were still proceeding. Because of that, all the startups which were there majorly in the South stopped getting investments. For 3 years, they all were stuck and they got died. We literally went way behind. The same thing where data protection was coming, that do not bring in an embargo per se, or curtail every aspect of it. That's why we realized that non-personal data is also very important. So one good thing which we are to see is demarcation between personal data and non-personal data, and how to go ahead with it. And one can deal with non-personal data, and that cannot be just by 1 or 2 entity, which we have today, that those tech giants who have large amount of data are the one which are at the benefit, but people can deal with non-personal data. They can buy data. The one company who's churning the data can sell off that data if it's non-personal data, non-identifiable, and it can be utilized for specific purpose. So companies can buy those data, and it is part and parcel of it. The another thing which we see with the new data protection bill coming in place, non-industry perspective, is lot of rights would be given to the users for them to be aware about what are their rights, right? For example, opting out, which was never there before, which companies started, which courts started bringing in and imposing it with the K. Puttaswamy judgment. The other would be right to have information that what exactly is my data with you. The third would be erasure, right to erasure, that is right to be forgotten, which recently I think one of the Madras High Court or somebody has put in a judgment, but they said it is specific to this judgment. It will not be applied holistically, but right to be forgotten is an integral part of right to privacy, which will also be part of it. So all these things, when we see, which are for the benefits of the user, that I at least have an ownership to my data, will also bring in clarity to the companies that what exactly I can take. Because what happens today is, as companies do not realize that how much data to take, whether it is really required or not required. We keep on taking data. For example, a furniture selling shop, why does it need access to my camera? Rental shop online app, why does it need access to my camera or my mic, or need my 10 more documents? Rather, it can restrict to limitation purpose, the another privacy principle, which is that collection and limitation purpose. And when are you deleting? How are you deleting? So but those things will be imbibed, which makes it easier for user, which makes it easier for data fiduciary, which makes it easier for understanding the liability, that who would have a liability in case there is a breach, and it would lie on whom. Because in today, if you are the one, and let's say, for example, SaaS company outsource its data to a third party to do certain kind of processing, and let's say there is a leak or a breach, third party is the biggest culprit, whereas breach part is concerned. So to keep those streamlined, that they also take care of in their contracts, that it is third party where we have shared. So that entire records is part of it, which I think most of you must already been doing into it, but we are not talking about established companies which have CTOs and CIOs in place, but we are talking about really all the companies in India, all sectors which need to have compliance in it, because it's not just banks, it's not just large organizations, but right from a e-commerce platform to a small, furniture rental shop to largest of the entity. I think it's for everybody. And then comes the data localization, which is another good aspect we can see. Absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely. So on that closure, let's hope that we come up with new regulations with regard to health, with regard to personal data, with regard to non-personal data, with regard to PII and what happens in that, and what liability exactly is yours, how you can shift the third-party liability, and what are the standards you have to follow. Because today, reasonable security standards doesn't make any sense. And I don't know what do you mean by reasonable. You have not defined, you have not given me anything. I'm complying with some ISO standard, or I'm picking up some standards of some other industry.
So good, thank you very much. We come to an end now. We'll have probably 5 minutes for Q&A if you have. I think you had one question. Yeah. Mike.
Yeah, hi, Kushbu. One question for you. What is, in your opinion, the reason why the PDP Act has not got passed this time? And because every time it gets deferred, there are some new points added. But this time, there's a lack of clarity of what are the key reasons for deferring it again.
You want an actual answer off the record?
Maybe.
Perfect. So, okay, there's data localization, one of the biggest norm which happened, where all the US companies and other companies, the tech giants, who had an issue that we don't want data localization here because all we store our data is outside. We don't want our data to be stored in India, because the moment you start doing all those things, the law enforcement will come in place, because as on date, the moment law enforcement goes to them, they say, sorry, it doesn't come to us. It's not just us. When Trump asked data from Facebook, it said, sorry, the data is stored in Ireland and I don't have access to it. Where Trump literally went on saying that it's one click and you have to give me what you're making fool of me, is where they got in that Cloud Act and they got changes into it. So the same thing, that they don't want that data localization to come in place. A. Second, this time, the main aspect which had in Parliament was that there were a lot of clauses which had ambiguity, where they gave exemptions to government, which gave exemptions to government approved parties, which can be anybody tomorrow. So there was a lot of clarity. There was an ambiguity that if government tomorrow says you are approved, so you are exempted from all those penalties and all those things. So there is where it created issues, that why are you exempting specific parties? It has to be similar. So that created a lot of issues, where I think Mahua Moitra and all other people started objecting to it. There were a lot of other ambiguity in the bill. I have personally gone through the entire bill, which was not out. I was being asked for my suggestions by the committee, which was headed by Vinay Sahasrabudheji. So I have looked into it, and there were some 10 or 15 aspects which were still contradictory to each other, and there were some things which has to be addressed. Hence, it was being gone. But on the larger, since all this time, every time it comes and it comes diluted, so much so that first bill, if you'll pick it up, the original form, had a very strict data localization norm. As on date, the latest which is there, it is their data localization norm, but they have diluted to an extent that any country which we have a bilateral agreement. Do we have a bilateral agreement with US? Yes. Do we have it with Singapore? Yes. 90% data centers are in Singapore. The companies are US. So practically you made a law of data protection, but at the same time, you got so many of provided. And those provisos made it has it, it just doesn't happen. So I'm saying that it has diluted in such a manner that is because of lot of stakeholders, lot of delegations that comes from specific countries, and they try to dilute and they have a lot of discussions over it.
Okay, thank you.
In the interest of time, sir.
This is not a question, but I think an advice or some coursework we all have to do. In view of many hiccups, as we have heard in just like Udaipur, internet was out for 12 days. No business, I think IOCL might be knowing, even somebody can't book the gas refills also during that period. So they might have come with some solution to that. Huh? Yeah. So everything, every business transformation should have a perfect business continuity plan for these type of situations also. This is very much important, because when we got accustomed to some automated thing or much easier thing or much more available things, people just forget कि यार इस पे तो एक SMS भेज के भी gas book हो जाती थी. So they just forget those things. So I think every business will be a different scenario in this case. So we should plan कि किसी भी दिन किसी भी समय एक महीने के लिए भी इंटरनेट नहीं हो सकता है. So how we will deal this situation?
Very valid point.
I'll just add one more thing. That see, data breaches are here to stay. Cyber attacks will happen, whatever you do. So the more resilient you become, more better for you, because attacks will happen whatever you do. Only thing is how much it will impact you is the situation. And I think that's how we can close and remember the part, best of the best technology, whereas breach industry is concerned, the weakest link is humans. You get best of the best technology in place, you do everything. Humans are the weakest link. You pick up any kind of breach that has happened, it has some or the other involvement, whereas started with humans are the weakest link. So don't just focus on technology, don't just focus on one department of yours, but the front end, every level of people who are in sync with have to have understanding about that, what are their rights, what are their obligations, what has to be done in case of emergency, and how to keep security, and how important it is for them to keep this at whatever security level your company has put in place.
Absolutely. Business continuity and the plan B is must for any initiative.
Yeah, I think we have come to the end
Yes,
now.
yes.
Thank you very much. Now I'll invite
Dr. Ganesh for vote of thanks.
So on behalf of AIMA, it's my pleasure and privilege to propose vote of thanks. And we had a very informative and the interesting session today. So at the outset, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Dr. Neeta Verma, Professor Arpan Kumarkar, and Mr. Akhilesh Tuteja for delivering keynote address and sharing very interesting and thought-provoking insights in the area of digital innovation and transformation. I would also like to express my thankfulness to Mr. Manish Grover, Ms. Khushbu Jain, and Professor MD Agrawal for sharing their valuable insights as key panelists for Roundtable today. Many thanks to Professor MD Agrawal and all senior professors from IIT Bombay, Professor Kiran Kumar S. Momaya, Professor G. Siva Kumar, Professor NL Sarda, and experts from industry, Mr. Sanjay Agrawal, Dr. Kamal Karnatak, Mr. Jayant Banerjee, Mr. Prashant Kumar Mittal, Mr. Uday Gharpure, Mr. Sunil Gupta, Mr. Rajesh Garg, Dr. Syed Pirzadeh for accepting our request to be part of a faculty pool of AIMA's Advanced Certificate Program on Digital Innovation and Transformation for Enterprises. I would also like to express my thankfulness to Dr. Kamal Karnatak for supporting our Advanced Certificate Program and this roundtable from CIOs of India. A very special thanks to Mr. Sanjay Agrawal for continued support and guidance in offering of advanced certificate program and sponsoring this roundtable from Hitachi Vantara. Thanks to all the participants for joining the roundtable, and thanks to all the CIOs and tech leaders for having enrolled in the inaugural batch of AIMA's Digital Innovation and Transformation for Enterprises program, and many congratulations for successfully completing this program. Once again, a round of applause to all the participants and all the faculty members for their all efforts. Last but not the least, I would like to express my deepest, I think, thankfulness to Rahul and Ankit from AIMA and Rajesh ji for their support in organizing this event today. Thank you everyone once again. I would now request, because we have had the extended session, I would request now each one of you to please join for cocktail and dinner. Thank you very much once again.
Gift now or after the dinner, whatever is convenient. Thank you. And we'll have to close the, just inform them. Inform you?
Now, hello, we are closing down the session now. Thank you for joining. We are closing down the session. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, virtual members, for joining. We are closing the session now. Thank you. See you in Bangalore.